Hello friends. Welcome to the Saiyan What Ifs. How are you all? So we are back with an interesting movie on what if Goku awakened the dragon of creation. Also be sure to subscribe and like this video. Now let's begin. Chapter 1. Beyond the Limits of Gods. The cerulean skies above Mount Paozu shimmered with unusual intensity as Goku Co. leaded his 10,000th one-finger push-up. Sweat cascaded down his forehead, tracing the contours of determination etched into his face over decades of relentless training. Something felt different. Chi today. Not just the weight of gravity or the tension in his muscles, but something in the air itself, as if the universe were holding its breath in anticipation. 9,998. 9,999. 10,000. Goku exhaled forcefully, flipping upright in a single fluid motion that belied the hours of exertion preceding it. He stood motionless for a moment, allowing his senses to expand beyond the physical realm. Since mastering Ultra Instinct, his perception had evolved. He could detect not just key signatures but the subtle fluctuations in reality itself, ripples in the cosmic fabric that most beings, even gods, remained oblivious to. A vibration unlike anything he'd encountered before. Not the destructive pressure of a god of destruction, nor the ordered influence of the Kais. This energy signature pulsed with potential, with something that felt primordial and yet unfinished. I haven't felt anything like this before, Goku murmured to himself, eyes narrowing as he traced the energy's origin. It's not coming from this dimension, but it's calling to me. Without hesitation, he pressed 2 fingers to his forehead, focusing on the mysterious signature. Instant transmission had evolved for him, becoming less about physical destinations and more about following energy patterns across dimensional barriers. Familiar displacement sensation enveloped him, but instead of the instantaneous arrival he expected, Goku found himself traveling through a tunnel of iridescent light, colors he had no names for swirling around him. This is new, he thought as the journey extended far longer than any teleportation he'd previously attempted. The tunnel twisted, branched, folded back on itself, navigation becoming intuitive rather than deliberate. Something guided him, not with words or images, but with impressions that resonated directly with his consciousness. When the light finally dissipated, Goku materialized atop a floating landmass that defied conventional physics. Ancient stone pillars rose from mist-covered ground, their surfaces inscribed with symbols that seemed to shift when viewed directly. The sky, if it could be called that, displayed constellations unknown to any universe Goku had visited, arranged in patterns that hinted at intentional design rather than cosmic chance. Where am I? Goku wondered aloud, his voice carrying no echo despite the vast emptiness surrounding the floating island. The air itself felt thick with potentiality, as if reality here remained partially formed, awaiting final definition. He approached the nearest pillar, running calloused fingers across inscriptions that resembled no language he'd encountered. Yet somehow, meanings filtered into his consciousness. Threshold. Potential. Worthy. Creation. Asterisk. This place, it's older than anything I've seen before, Goku realized, memories of divine realms and primordial training grounds flashing through his mind for comparison. Even the sacred world of the Kais feels young compared to this. The central structure dominated the floating island, a temple constructed from materials that shifted between solid stone and translucent crystal depending on viewing angle. Its architecture defied conventional design, with staircases that seemed to lead in impossible directions and doorways opening onto spots larger than the temple itself could contain. As Goku approached, 7 pillars surrounding the temple entrance illuminated with soft golden light. Each bore a symbol: strength, wisdom, compassion, sacrifice, joy, growth, and balance. Is this some kind of test? Goku wondered, his fighting instincts automatically assessing the environment for threats. Finding none, he relaxed slightly but remained alert. Years of experience had taught him that the most dangerous challenges rarely announced themselves with obvious hostility. The pillar of strength glowed brightest as he passed, responding to his natural affinity. Yet strangely, the pillars of joy and growth intensified almost as strongly, while wisdom and balance emitted only faint acknowledgement. Interesting, Goku murmured, instinctively understanding the pillars. Judgment. His journey had always prioritized strength and the joy of improvement, sometimes at the expense of wisdom and balance in his life. The assessment felt fair, if uncomfortably perceptive. The temple entrance, an archway carved with intertwining dragons whose scales shifted colors with hypnotic rhythm, remained sealed by no visible barrier, yet Goku's sensed impenetrable resistance when he attempted to pass through. I guess I need to prove myself worthy, he concluded, examining the 7 pillars more carefully. Unlike the challenges he typically faced, this one offered no clear opponent to defeat, no obvious problem to solve through force or combat prowess. The pillar of compassion pulsed subtly, drawing his attention. Goku placed his palm against its surface. Feeling warmth spread through his arm as memories surfaced, sparing Vegeta despite Krillin's protests, offering Cell a Senzu bean before Gohan's battle, countless moments where mercy overrode tactical advantage. I've always tried to see the good in opponents, Goku reflected, to give second chances even when others thought I was naive. The pillar brightened, its golden glow intensifying. Following this pattern, Goku moved to each pillar, connecting with the aspects they represented. At sacrifice, he recalled years spent training in other world, time separated from family for the greater good. At joy, his natural affinity shone brightest, memories of exhilaration during tournament battles, the simple pleasures of training, eating, and being with friends and family. The balance pillar proved most challenging, remaining dim despite multiple attempts to connect. Goku frowned, contemplating what aspect of balance he might be overlooking. Is it about more than just strength? He wondered aloud. Maybe balance between different parts of life, fighting and family, training and teaching, personal goals and others' needs. With this realization, the final pillar illuminated, completing the circuit. The sealed temple entrance rippled like disturbed water, the invisible barrier dissolving to reveal a passage descending beneath the floating island. Here goes nothing, Goku muttered, stepping into darkness that seemed to swallow even the light from the activated pillars. The passage spiraled downward, gravity shifting subtly with each turn until Goku found himself walking on what had previously been walls, then ceilings. Spatial orientation became meaningless. He moved through the temple guided by intuition rather than physical landmarks. After what felt like hours of descent, though time flowed strangely here, Goku emerged into a vast spherical chamber. At its center floated a crystalline orb, within which coiled a dragon unlike any he had encountered. Unlike Shenron or Purunga, this dragon appeared partially translucent, its form composed of what seemed like living constellations rather than scales and flesh. Its eyes remained closed, but Goku sensed awareness behind those slumbering lids. The dragon of creation, he whispered, the name coming to him unbidden. Unlike the wish-granting dragons he'd summoned with Dragon Balls, this entity radiated a different quality of power. Not the fulfillment of desires, but the capacity to bring new realities into existence. Approach, Seeker, commanded a voice that resonated not through the air but directly within Goku's mind. The source wasn't the dragon but a figure emerging from behind the crystalline orb, a woman with skin the color of burnished copper and eyes that contained the depth of ancient stars. Her attire resembled ceremonial robes from no culture Goku recognized, woven with threads that captured and redirected light in impossible ways. Patterns across the fabric shifted constantly, revealing glimpses of worlds being formed and dissolved. I am Mira, guardian of the threshold, she introduced herself, her voice carrying the weight of millennia. Few find this place, fewer still are permitted entry. What brought you to the temple of creation, son Goku? Goku's surprise at her knowing his name must have registered on his face, as Mira's lips curved into a subtle smile. Your ripples across the multiverse are distinctive, she explained. Even in this forgotten corner of existence, echoes of your battles with gods and demons have reached us. I didn't exactly mean to come here, Goku admitted, scratching the back of his head in his characteristic gesture. I sensed something unusual while training and followed it using instant transmission. The energy signature led me here. Mira's expression shifted to one of intense interest. The temple does not reveal itself by accident, she stated firmly. If you found your way here, so Zoryu, the dragon of creation, has chosen to be found. She circled the crystalline orb, trailing fingers across its surface with reverence. For countless eons, the dragon has slumbered, awaiting one with the potential to bear its power. Many have sought this place with ambition and greed, hoping to command creation itself, but the temple rejected them before they reached this chamber. I'm not looking for more power, Goku clarified. His honesty evident in his straightforward gaze. I've learned that strength alone doesn't solve everything. I'm just curious about this energy I've never felt before. Curiosity rather than ambition, Mira noted. Yet you possess power that rivals the destroyers. An unusual combination. She gestured toward the orb. The dragon of creation predates the gods you know. Before the supreme Kais governed creation. Before the gods of destruction maintained cosmic balance through elimination, Sozoryu wove the fundamental forces of the multiverse into existence. The crystalline SPH. Air pulsed as if responding to her words, the dragon within stirring slightly. As universes grew complex and consciousness evolved, direct intervention became impractical. The dragon established the divine hierarchy you know, Kais to oversee, gods of destruction to prune, and withdrew into slumber, intervening only in moments of cosmic significance. Goku approached the orb cautiously, sensing the immense energy contained within. And now it's waking up. Is something threatening the multiverse again? Perhaps, Mira acknowledged, or perhaps the multiverse requires something beyond destruction and maintenance. The cycles of tournament and threat, of gods competing and mortals suffering, perhaps Sozoryu senses the need for a different approach. She fixed Goku with a penetrating stare. Before you stands a choice, son Goku. The dragon of creation has stirred from slumber, but awakening requires a vessel, one who can channel its power without being consumed. The trials you passed to enter were merely preliminary assessment. Quote, what happens if I become this vessel? Goku asked. Practical as always. You would gain abilities beyond those of conventional gods, not just the power to destroy or rearrange, but to truly create. New possibilities, new forms of energy, perhaps even new life or realms of existence, Mira explained. But wielding such power carries responsibility that would eclipse even your current burdens. Goku circled the orb thoughtfully, observing the dragon from different angles. The creature's form shifted subtly with each perspective, revealing new patterns and possibilities. I've never been great with responsibility, he admitted with characteristic self-awareness. Just ask Chi-Chi about how often I've been home for dinner. A slight smile crossed his face before fading into seriousness. But I've always protected what matters. If this power helps me do that better, I'm willing to try. The merging is irreversible, Mira cautioned. Once Sozoryu awakens within you, separation would mean destruction for both. I understand, Goku nodded, decision made with the straightforward clarity that had defined his life's most critical moments. What do I need to do? Mira produced an ancient bronze key from within her robes. The final trial requires proving what lies at your core, not your strength or skill, but the essence of your heart. The Ragan must determine if your fundamental nature aligns with creation's purpose. She approached a previously invisible keyhole in the crystalline orb. Once unlocked, you will experience trials drawn from your own consciousness. I cannot predict their form or prepare you for them. That's okay, Goku replied with genuine unconcern. I've always done better figuring things out as I go anyway. Mira inserted the key, turning it with ceremonial precision. The orb's surface rippled like disturbed water, opening to create a passage just large enough for Goku to enter. Remember, Mira advised as Goku prepared to step through. Strength of fists means nothing in this trial. Strength of heart will determine your success. Goku nodded once, then stepped forward into the orb. The opening sealed behind him, encasing him in crystal that felt simultaneously solid and fluid. Inside the orb, reality dissolved. Goku found himself floating in a void filled with twinkling lights resembling stars. Yet somehow he understood they were more like seeds of possibility than actual celestial bodies. The dragon was nowhere visible, yet its presence surrounded him completely. Son Goku, came a voice that seemed composed of countless whispers unified into comprehensible sound. I have observed your journey across lifetimes. Now I must know, what drives you? Before Goku could formulate a response, the void transformed. He stood on a battlefield littered with fallen bodies, his friends, family, everyone he'd ever fought beside, their forms broken and lifeless. Standing across from him, a shadow. Wei opponent radiated malevolent power far exceeding anything he'd faced before. The scenario felt horrifyingly real, the metallic scent of blood, the weight of exhaustion in his limbs, the crushing despair of failure. You could have prevented this, the dragon's voice observed dispassionately. With my power, no threat could have touched them. Why do you fight, Son Goku? Is it truly to protect, or for the thrill of battle itself? The question struck at doubts Goku had carried since childhood, the uncomfortable truth that while he protected Earth and its people, his Saiyan heart thrilled at the prospect of challenging opponents. Had his selfish love of battle inadvertently put others at risk? Would someone motivated purely by protection have made different choices? Both, Goku admitted honestly, refusing to deceive himself or the dragon. I love fighting. I always have. But that doesn't mean I don't care about protecting people. He knelt beside Krillin's fallen form, then Gohan's. Memories of their shared battles flooding through him. I've made mistakes. Sometimes I've put fighting ahead of family. Sometimes I've given enemies second chances that came back to hurt others. Rising to his feet, Goku faced the shadowy opponent without shifting to a combat stance. But my love of fighting doesn't cancel out my desire to protect. They're both part of who I am. The battlefield scene dissolved, replaced by a new scenario. Goku found himself seated at the head of a vast table in what appeared to be a divine council chamber. Representatives of every universe surrounded him, supreme Kais, gods of destruction, angels, and countless species he'd encountered and many he hadn't. With creation's power, you could reshape cosmic order, the dragon's voice suggested. Establish new hierarchies, eliminate the need for destruction, perhaps even resurrect planets and species lost to divine caprice. What order would you impose, Son Goku? Goku looked uncomfortable in the ornate chair, shifting as if it were physically restrictive. I'm no good at ruling or making big decisions for everyone else, he stated plainly. Even as Earth's defender, I've never tried to control how people live. He stood from the chair, walking among the assembled representatives with relaxed familiarity rather than commanding presence. I don't think power should be about controlling everything, Goku continued. The best moments in my life came from uncertainty, from not knowing if I could win a fight, from watching my sons grow in their own ways, from seeing friends surpass their limitations. He smiled at the assembled council. Creation shouldn't erase struggle. Without challenges, how would anyone grow stronger or discover what they're capable of? The council chamber faded, placed by a simple grassy field beneath a vibrant sunset. A young boy trained alone, practicing martial arts forms with intense concentration. With a start, Goku recognized his younger self. Your journey began with innocence and joy, observed the dragon. What remains of that child who once sought strength for its own sake, unburdened by cosmic responsibility? Goku approached his younger self, who paused in training to look up at him with curious eyes. The innocence there struck him powerfully, a reminder of simpler times before gods and universes entered his awareness. He's still here, Goku answered, placing a hand on his chest. Every time I get excited about a new technique or a strong opponent, every time I forget about saving the world and just enjoy the challenge itself, that's him. The child version smiled knowingly before resuming practice. I've gained responsibilities along the way, Goku continued, but I never want to lose the joy of improvement or the excitement of discovering what comes next. If I became so focused on cosmic duty that I forgot how to enjoy life's simple pleasures, I don't think I'd be the right person for any kind of power. The field dissolved, scenarios continuing to unfold. Goku faced moments of temptation, of sacrifice, of choice between personal desire and greater good. Through each, he responded not with calculated perfection but with the authentic core of his nature, sometimes flawed in judgment but always genuine in intent. In the final vision, Goku stood alone before the now visible dragon of creation, its stellar body fully materialized. The creature dwarfed even the largest dragons he'd encountered, its form stretching across what seemed like light years of space. You are imperfect, Son Goku, the dragon stated, its voice now singular and direct. You prioritize combat over leadership, personal growth over cosmic stability. Your understanding of creation's complexities remains limited by conventional measures of divine worthiness. Others would score higher. Goku accepted these observations without defense or denial, standing comfortably in his own truth. And yet, continued Sozoryu, massive head lowering to regard Goku more closely. Your imperfections carry unusual merit. Creation itself is not a process of perfection but of potential. Where others would establish perfect but static order, you would allow space for evolution. Where others would protect through control, you protect through empowerment. The dragon's form began to dissolve into particles of light, swirling around Goku like golden dust caught in cosmic winds. I choose you not despite your flaws but because of the specific nature of those flaws, Sozoryu declared. Creation requires not perfection but possibility. Not control but growth. Your heart already aligns with these principles. The swirling energy intensified, beginning to merge with Goku's form. This union will change you, as it will change me. Together, we become something neither has been before. Quote, Goku felt the dragon's essence merging with his own. Not an invasion but an integration, like puzzle pieces recognizing their complement. Knowledge beyond his previous comprehension flowed into his consciousness. The fundamental principles of creation energy, different from ki or godly power, the history of the multiverse from its earliest formations, the delicate balances maintaining reality's stability. Outside the orb, Mira observed as the crystalline sphere pulsed with increasingly intense light. Patterns spread across its surface, intricate geomet. Rise representing cosmic constants reforming and realigning. A hairline fracture appeared, then another, until the entire structure was webbed with cracks illuminated from within. With a sound like countless wind chimes harmonizing, the orb shattered into thousands of crystalline fragments that hovered momentarily before dissolving into particles of light. Where the sphere had been, Goku now floated, suspended in midair by swirling energy neither holy ki nor divine power. His physical appearance remained largely unchanged, but subtle differences became apparent as he descended to the chamber floor. Patterns resembling constellations occasionally rippled beneath his skin before fading from view. His eyes, when open, revealed pinpoints of light within their depths, as if containing miniature galaxies. It is done, Mira whispered, dropping to one knee in formal acknowledgement. After countless ages, Sozoryu has awakened within a vessel. Goku flexed his hands, experiencing sensations beyond ordinary perception. He could feel not just energy but potential, the unrealized possibilities existing in every particle of matter, the nascent patterns awaiting expression. This is different, he understated. Characteristic humility remaining intact despite godlike awareness. Not like ultra instinct or even god ki. It's like seeing the blueprints behind everything. Mira rose, approaching cautiously. What you now possess is the power that preceded destruction and creation as separate forces. Before balance required opposition, creation contained both beginning and ending within itself. Goku nodded, understanding concepts that would have been incomprehensible to him moments before. The dragon's knowledge had merged with his own, though his personality and core nature remained distinctly his. I can see everything, he murmured, gaze distant. How universes form, how energy patterns become matter, how consciousness emerges from complexity. He looked at his hand, watching as golden blue energy manifested above his palm. Unlike ki, which radiated outward with force, this energy swirled inward, creating rather than projecting. As he focused, the energy coals CED into a perfect miniature apple, not an illusion but actual matter constructed from reorganized energy. Creation energy, Mira identified. Unlike destructive power, which unmakes what exists, or conventional creation that reshapes existing materials, true creation energy manifests possibility into reality. Goku bit into the apple, finding it perfectly real, crisp, sweet, indistinguishable from naturally grown fruit. That's gonna save a lot on grocery bills, he joked, his essential nature reasserting itself through humor. Mira's formal demeanor cracked slightly, surprise registering at his casual response to godlike ability. Most who sought this power imagined reshaping planets or creating new life forms. Your first thought is, food. Well, I was getting hungry, Goku explained with disarming simplicity. And it seemed like the easiest thing to try first. He looked around the chamber, perception extending beyond physical space to the dimensional barriers surrounding them. This place exists between universes, he observed. A pocket dimension created by Sozoryu is a sanctuary. Yes, Mira confirmed. My people were chosen as guardians eons ago, when the dragon furs. Chi withdrew from active participation in cosmic affairs. I am the last of that lineage. For the first time, Goku truly focused on Mira, his enhanced perception revealing layers to her existence he would previously have missed. Though humanoid in appearance, her life force signature differed from any species he'd encountered. More significantly, he sensed profound isolation. Centuries of solitary vigil had left emotional scars beneath her composed exterior. "You've been alone here a long time," Goku stated with characteristic directness, compassion rather than pity coloring his observation. Mira stiffened, unaccustomed to having her personal truth so easily perceived. "My duty has been my purpose," she replied formally. "The honor of serving as guardian." "Still feels lonely," Goku finished, offering a smile that carried genuine warmth rather than condescension. "Trust me, I spent years training alone in other world. Having a purpose helps, but it doesn't replace connection." He extended his hand in friendly invitation. "Now that the dragon's awake, maybe your duty includes helping me figure out how to use these powers properly. I've got a feeling I'm going to need guidance." Ira regarded his outstretched hand with an expression caught between centuries of formal protocol and genuine longing for connection. The guardian's role has traditionally been one of separation, maintaining the temple's isolation from cosmic affairs. Traditions change, Goku suggested simply. If Sozoryu wanted to remain isolated, he wouldn't have merged with someone as social as me. His observation carried the ring of truth. The dragon had chosen a vessel embedded in the affairs of multiple universes, connected to fighters, gods, family and friends across cosmic boundaries. Isolation no longer aligned with its evident purpose. After visible internal struggle, Mira placed her hand in his, a gesture representing not just physical contact but the breaking of ancient protocols. "You speak truth, vessel of creation. If Sozoryu has chosen to engage with the multiverse again, my duty lies in facilitating that engagement. Just call me Goku," he insisted, gently correcting her formality. "I've had enough titles over the years, Kakarot, Earth's champion, even destroyer of universes according to some. Don't need another one." The temple chamber began to respond to the completed awakening. Ancient mechanisms activating after eons of dormancy. Walls shifted, revealing previously hidden passages and chambers. Crystalline panels illuminated, displaying cosmic maps and creation formulas incomprehensible to ordinary minds. "The temple awakens fully," Mira explained, newfound animation brightening her features. "These halls contain knowledge and tools for wielding creation energy. Training grounds designed specifically for the dragon's vessel." Goku surveyed the expanding complex with wide-eyed appreciation. "Looks like I've got some learning to do before heading home." "Home?" Mira questioned, momentarily confused. "You would return to your mortal dwelling rather than establish a cosmic seat of power." "Of course," Goku replied without hesitation. "My family's there, my friends, my training partners. Why would I stay away just because I've got new powers?" Mira's expression suggested this approach contradicted everything she understood about cosmic authority. "Traditionally, beings of your current status maintain separation from mortal affairs to prevent undue influence or dependence." "Yeah, well, I've never been big on doing things the traditional way," Goku shrugged. "Besides, these powers won't mean much if I don't use them to protect the people and places that matter to me." As they conversed, Goku's enhanced senses detected a disturbance, a ripple in dimensional stability centered on Earth. Though subtle, the distortion carried ominous overtones, as if something were testing barriers between realities. "Something's happening," he stated, focus shifting from their immediate surroundings to distant Earth. "I can feel pressure against the dimensional walls near my home planet." Mira accessed the temple's monitoring systems, crystalline displays zooming to display Earth's location relative to interdimensional weak points. "Unusual activity," she confirmed. "The barriers between dimensions are thinning near your world." "Is that because of me?" "Because of these new powers?" Goku questioned, concern evident. "Possibly," Mira acknowledged. "Your awakening as Sozoryu's vessel creates ripples across realities. Some entities may sense the shift in cosmic balance." Goku's expression hardened into determination. "Then I need to get back. If something's threatening Earth because of these changes, I'm responsible for protecting it." You've barely begun to understand your new abilities," Mira cautioned. "Creation energy functions differently from destructive force. Using it improperly could cause more harm than help." "Then come with me," Goku suggested impulsively. "You understand these powers better than anyone. You could help me learn while making sure I don't accidentally create problems instead of solving them." Mira froze. his proposal clearly conflicting with millennia of established protocol. Leave the temple. My sacred duty has always been here, maintaining a temple that's already fulfilled its primary purpose, Goku gently interrupted. Sozoryu has awakened and found its vessel. What's more important now? Guarding an empty sanctuary or helping ensure creation's power is used properly? His logic, while simple, contained undeniable truth. The temple's purpose had fundamentally changed with the dragon's awakening. Continuing exactly as before made little sense when cosmic conditions had shifted so dramatically. After visible internal debate, Mira nodded. You speak wisdom, son Goku. My knowledge serves no purpose isolated from its application. She straightened, formal training reasserting itself. I shall accompany you to Earth as advisor and interpreter of creation mysteries. Great, Goku exclaimed with genuine enthusiasm. Fair warning though, Earth can be pretty chaotic. We seem to attract universal threats, time travelers, and alien invasions on a regular basis. After millennia of solitude, Mira admitted with the first genuine smile Goku had seen from her, chaos might be refreshing. Goku concentrated on the dimensional disturbance he'd sensed, preparing for instant transmission. With his enhanced perception, the technique had evolved beyond requiring physical key signatures to lock onto. He could now sense the specific quantum signature of locations themselves, allowing unprecedented precision in spatial translocation. Ready? He asked, offering his hand once more. Mira hesitated only briefly before placing her hand in his, ancient duty transforming into new purpose. I am prepared, son Goku. Just Goku, he corrected again with a smile. We're going to be working together. No need for formality. With that, both figures vanished from the ancient temple, energy patterns swirling in their wake as reality prepared to accommodate creation's return to active participation in cosmic affairs. On Earth, across the multiverse, and in realms beyond conventional understanding, sensitive entities paused, sensing a fundamental shift in reality's underlying pattern. The dragon of creation had awakened after countless ages of slumber, its power now merged with the most unpredictable warrior in existence. The consequences would echo across all creation. Cha, PTER1 End Chapter 2, Ripples Across Realities. Reality fractured and reformed as Goku and Mira materialized atop Mount Paozu, the familiar landscape of Earth spreading beneath them like an intricate tapestry. Dawn painted the eastern horizon in watercolor strokes of amber and rose, while western skies still harbored lingering stars. The mountain air carried pine scent and morning dew, a sensory symphony so different from the timeless void of the temple that Mira momentarily staggered. First time teleporting, Goku steadied her with a gentle hand at her elbow, his touch casual yet considerate. First time experiencing anything beyond the temple in several thousand years, Mira corrected, her copper-hued skin reflecting sunrise as she breathed deeply. Your world possesses remarkable vitality. Goku watched her experience Earth with newfound appreciation for his home planet. Through his enhanced senses, he perceived layers of existence previously invisible, the intricate dance of energy within each living organism. The subtle interactions between matter and the dimensional fabric, the whispered songs of atomic resonance creating reality's symphony. It's always been beautiful, he acknowledged. But I'm seeing it differently now. Below his feet, grass trembled as golden blue energy unconsciously leaked from his form, accelerating growth patterns and causing wildflowers to erupt in spontaneous bloom. A nearby boulder cracked, crystalline structures forming within ordinary granite as creation energy rewrote its molecular composition. You're leaking power, Mira observed, gesturing toward the transformation spreading outward from where they stood. Creation energy responds to unconscious thought more readily than destructive force. Your mere presence alters reality without deliberate intent. Goku concentrated, attempting to contain the overflow. Like learning key control as a kid, but backward. He frowned in concentration, visualizing the energy as aimed within rather than projecting outward. Instead of pushing power out, I need to hold possibility in. The golden blue aura receded slightly, though reality distortions continued at subtler levels. Chronological anomalies causing individual raindrops to hang suspended momentarily, quantum fluctuations manifesting as gossamer threads visible only from certain angles. Partial success, Mira acknowledged. Complete mastery requires understanding fundamental principles. The temple contains training methodologies developed specifically for. An explosion of displaced air interrupted her, AC. Accompanied by a localized earthquake that radiated outward from Goku's position. Birds scattered from distant trees as the mountain itself shuddered. What was that? Goku questioned, alarmed by the unexpected reaction. Dimensional rebound, Mira explained, accessing knowledge preserved through millennia of guardianship. Creation energy affects all planes simultaneously. When consciously suppressed in the physical realm, it often displaces into dimensional boundaries. So by trying to control it here, I pushed it somewhere else. Goku summarized, grasping the concept intuitively despite its complexity. Precisely. Control requires direction, not suppression. You must learn to channel rather than contain. Before Mira could elaborate further, a familiar key signature approached with impressive velocity. Goku smiled, recognizing his eldest son moments before Gohan landed nearby, dressed in his scholarly attire rather than fighting GI, concern evident on his features. Dad, we felt that energy spike across the continent. What's happening? Gohan's gaze shifted to Mira, noting her unusual appearance with scholarly interest rather than suspicion. And who's your friend? Goku rubbed the back of his neck, considering how to explain cosmic revelations in comprehensible terms. Well, it's kind of complicated. I was training this morning and sensed something unusual, followed it through dimensions. Met an ancient dragon, merged with it, and now I've got creation powers that apparently affect reality itself. He gestured toward Mira. This is Mira, guardian of the temple where all this happened. She's here to help me figure out these new abilities. Gohan blinked twice, processing the rapid explanation with the resignation of someone accustomed to cosmic developments disrupting ordinary life. Just another Tuesday for the Sun family, I guess. He extended a hand toward Mira with polite formality. I'm Son Gohan, Goku's eldest son. It's nice to meet you, though I I have several thousand questions about everything my father just mentioned. Comprehensible curiosity, Mira responded, accepting the handshake with ceremonial precision that suggested the gesture remained unfamiliar to her. Your father has become the vessel for Sozoryu, the dragon of creation, a primordial entity whose power predates the established cosmic hierarchy. Creation rather than destruction. Gohan's scholarly interest visibly intensified. That's fascinating. Most godly powers we've encountered focus primarily on destruction or maintenance. Hey, speaking of family, Goku interjected, suddenly remembering. I should probably let Chi-Chi know what's happening before rumors start spreading. Gohan winced slightly. That might be wise. Mom was already asking questions about the energy disturbances. Vital took Pan to visit her, so they're both at the house right now. Perfect timing, Goku decided. We can explain everything at once. He moved to place 2 fingers against his forehead, then paused. Reconsidering. Actually, walking might be better. I'm still figuring out how these new powers affect techniques like instant transmission. As if confirming his caution, reality rippled visibly around them, trees momentarily phasing into multiple potential states, ground becoming partially transparent to reveal geological layers beneath. Gohan instinctively PPED back while Mira remained perfectly still, accustomed to creation energy's reality-altering effects. Dad, your energy is causing some serious distortions, Gohan observed, scientific mind analyzing the phenomena. It's affecting probability fields somehow. I can literally see multiple possible states coexisting. Yeah, that's happening a lot, Goku acknowledged. Creation energy deals with potential rather than actuality. At least that's how Mira explained it. Correct, Mira affirmed. Where conventional energy manipulates what exists, creation energy manipulates what could exist. Without proper direction, possibilities manifest chaotically. The 3 began walking toward Goku's modest mountain home, following a path worn through years of family use. As they traveled, Goku's footsteps left subtle changes, ordinary dirt momentarily transforming into materials that shifted between states, plants evolving through generations within seconds before reverting to normal. So how do you control it? Gohan questioned, observing the effects with scientific fascination. That's what we're working on, Goku admitted. It's different from ki control or even God ki. Those energies respond to will and intention. Creation energy seems to respond to something deeper. Underlying consciousness, Mira elaborated. Not merely what you consciously intend, but what you unconsciously value and believe. Creation responds to the heart's truest nature rather than the mind's specific commands. That explains why it suits Dad, Gohan observed with affectionate understanding. His surface thoughts and deeper nature usually align. He rarely pretends to be anything other than exactly who he is. Goku absorbed this assessment, recognizing its truth. Throughout his life, authenticity had been his constant companion, sometimes to the point of social awkwardness, but consistently genuine. As they approached the Sun household, mouth-watering aromas of Chi-Chi's cooking wafted toward them, triggering an instinctive quickening of Goku's pace. Some aspects of his nature remained unchanging despite cosmic elevation. Food, he exclaimed with characteristic enthusiasm, temporary. Forgetting dimensional concerns in favor of immediate gustatory pleasures. Gohan chuckled. Some things never change. Even with the power of creation itself, Dad's still motivated by his stomach. The vessel retains its essential nature through transformation, Mira observed, though a hint of amusement softened her formal tone. Sozoryu selected Son Goku precisely because of his authentic character, not despite it. The modest Sun residence came into view, a simple dome structure expanded over decades to accommodate a growing family. Smoke curled invitingly from the chimney, and laundry hung on a line nearby. Domestic normalcy contrasting sharply with cosmic developments. Before they reached the front door, it burst open to reveal Chi-Chi, wooden spoon clutched like a weapon in one hand. Behind her, Vital held baby Pan, who giggled and reached toward her grandfather with intuitive recognition. Son Goku. Chi-Chi's voice carried that unique blend of concern, irritation, and action perfected through decades of marriage to Earth's most powerful defender. What exactly have you gotten yourself into this time? The whole mountain shook. And who is this woman? Goku raised both hands in placating gesture, smiling sheepishly. Hi, Chi-Chi. This is Mira. She's helping me with some new powers I accidentally picked up this morning. New powers? Chi-Chi's eyes narrowed suspiciously. What kind of new powers shake mountains and make the sky turn colors? And don't think I didn't notice those strange lights above the house earlier. Creation powers, Goku explained, simplifying tremendously. I merged with an ancient dragon that predates the gods we know. Myra's been guarding its temple for thousands of years. Chi-Chi sighed deeply, wooden spoon lowering as resignation replaced anger. Of course you did. Because a normal husband would just bring home overtime pay or maybe surprise flowers, but my husband brings home cosmic powers and temple guardians. She turned abruptly, gesturing them inside. Well, don't just stand there. Breakfast is ready, and I suppose I need to set an extra place for our guest. As they entered, Chi-Chi paused beside Mira, SSING her with the straightforward evaluation of a woman accustomed to extraordinary circumstances. Do you eat human food? Some of these cosmic types don't, and I'd rather know before serving you. The question, so practical amid cosmic developments, momentarily startled Mira. Yes, my species requires sustenance, though I have sustained myself through different means within the temple. Conventional food would be welcome. Good, at least something simple today. Chi-Chi nodded decisively before leading them to the dining area. Breakfast proceeded with surprising normalcy, considering the circumstances. Chi-Chi maintained household routines with the stubborn determination that had defined her approach to extraordinary events throughout her marriage. Mira observed these domestic interactions with unconcealed fascination, occasionally forgetting to eat as she studied the family dynamics. So let me understand this correctly, Vital summarized as Goku finished his explanation between enormous bites. You've merged with a primordial dragon that basically created everything, and now you're leaking creation energy that's causing dimensional disturbances. Pretty much, Goku confirmed through a mouthful of rice. Don't talk with your mouth full, Chi-Chi admonished automatically. Dragon of creation or not, table manners still apply in this house. Goku swallowed hastily. Sorry, Chi-Chi. These new powers, Gohan interjected, scientific curiosity evident. Can they be trained like ki control? Or do they function differently? Both similar and different, Mira answered. Where ki represents life force projected outward, creation energy represents potential drawn inward then expressed. Training methods exist, but they differ fundamentally from combat techniques. I need to learn quickly. Goku noted, suddenly serious. These reality distortions could endanger people if I don't get them under control. Perhaps we should relocate to less populated areas while you're learning. Gohan suggested practically. Maybe the hyperbolic time chamber. Or one of King Kai's planets. Insufficient, Mira assessed. Conventional training dimensions lack the necessary stabilization matrices for creation energy. We require specialized environments. Goku set down his chopsticks, expression thoughtful, a rare interruption of his typical eating focus. What about creating a training space? If these powers are about creation, shouldn't I be able to make something designed specifically for practicing safely? Myra's eyes widened fractionally. Theoretically possible, though extremely advanced. Creating dimensional pockets requires precise understanding of cosmic architecture. Maybe we should try anyway, Goku suggested with characteristic optimism. I've always learned best by doing rather than theorizing. Before Mira could respond, Pan squealed delightedly, chubby hands reaching toward floating specks of golden blue light now materializing above the breakfast table. The luminous motes swirled in patterns responding to the baby's laughter, unconsciously manifested by Goku's fondness for his granddaughter. Dad, you're doing it again, Gohan observed, though without alarm. Sorry, Goku apologized, attempting to recall the energy. Instead of dissipating, however, the motes intensified, coalescing into a miniature galaxy rotating above the table. Within it, microscopic planetary systems formed, complete with orbiting moons and asteroid belts. Fascinating, Mira whispered, professional detachment momentarily yielding to genuine wonder. Subconscious creation responding to emotional resonance rather than deliberate intent. Chi-Chi eyed the miniature galaxy with the weary acceptance of someone who had long since adjusted her definition of household normalcy. Just make sure your cosmic light show doesn't drop on my clean floor, Goku. Pan reached again for the swirling lights, giggling as tiny stars winked in response to her movements. She likes it, Goku observed, connection with his granddaughter momentarily overshadowing cosmic concerns. He extended a finger toward the galaxy, willing a small stream of stars to flow toward Pan like golden fireflies. They danced around her head, eliciting delighted squeals. Without warning, the playful interaction triggered something deeper. The golden blue energy expanded dramatically, enveloping the entire room in swirling light. Reality itself seemed to hiccup, walls becoming transparent, ceiling opening to reveal cosmic vistas never visible from Earth. Goku! Chi-Chi exclaimed as dishes began floating, their molecular structure temporarily releasing from gravity's influence. I'm not doing this deliberately. Goku protested, attempting to contain the energy surge. Mira stood abruptly. Emotional resonance has triggered cascading creation. You must stabilize it immediately before. Her warning came too late. With a sound like reality itself tearing, the energy collapsed inward before exploding outward in a blinding flash. When vision cleared, the family remained seated around the breakfast table, seemingly unchanged, until Gohan noticed the view outside the windows. Where Mount Paozu's familiar landscape should have appeared, impossibly beautiful cosmic scenery stretched in all directions, floating islands suspended in pastel-hued atmospheres, crystalline formations catching light from multiple suns, waterfalls flowing upward before arcing into geometric pools. That's not Earth, he observed unnecessarily. Indeed not, Mira confirmed, risking to examine their surroundings more carefully. Son Goku has manifested a pocket dimension, a reality construct existing parallel to conventional space-time. I created all this, Goku questioned, amazed despite his experience with extraordinary phenomena. Just by playing with Pan. Creation energy responds most powerfully to joy, connection, and imagination, qualities abundant in both you and your granddaughter. Mira approached the nearest window, studying the impossible landscape. This dimension appears stable, if unplanned. Chi-Chi stood abruptly, maternal instincts overriding cosmic concerns. Dimension or not, breakfast isn't finished. Everyone sit back down while I serve the next course. We'll figure out how to get back to normal Earth after eating properly. The family exchanged glances, then obediently returned to their seats. Cosmic crisis temporarily deferred in favor of Chi-Chi's culinary authority. Even Mira, unaccustomed to family dynamics, found herself responding to the woman's commanding presence. As they resumed eating, Goku attempted to process what had occurred. Unlike his previous power jumps, which primarily increased destructive capability or combat efficiency, these creation abilities operated on principles entirely outside his experience. He could level mountains with a punch, had done so accidentally during early training, but creating an entire dimension through emotional connection with his granddaughter represented something fundamentally different. Is this permanent? He finally asked Mira. Did I just replace our house with whatever this is? Not replacement but translocation, Mira corrected. Your physical dwelling now exists simultaneously in its original location and within this pocket dimension. The connecting principle suggests reversion should be possible with proper focus. So we're not stuck here forever. Chi-Chi clarified practically. The dimensional boundaries remain permeable, Mira assured her. Return requires only conscious realignment of spatial parameters. That's good, Chi-Chi responded, clearly not entirely understanding the explanation but accepting the positive conclusion. As breakfast concluded, they moved outside to better assess their situation. The Sun family home now stood on a floating island of ordinary Earth terrain approximately 1 kilometer in diameter. Beyond its edges, conventional physics gave way to the impossible landscapes visible through the windows, a reality constructed from Goku's subconscious imagination influenced by Pan's innocent joy. This is incredible, Gohan marveled. Scientific mind cataloging phenomena that defied known physical laws. Gravity functions normally within our immediate area but appears to operate differently elsewhere. Those floating rocks follow orbital patterns that should be impossible. Vital shaded her eyes, pointing toward distant crystalline formations. Are those cities? I can see structures and movement. Impossible, Mira whispered, genuine surprise breaking through her composed demeanor. Creation requires conscious intent for such complexity, yet these appear to be functioning ecosystems and civilizations. Goku closed his eyes, extending his senses through this new dimension. Unlike conventional key sensing, which detected existing energy signatures, his awareness now perceived potentiality itself. The fundamental patterns underlying reality construction. They're not fully real, he realized, eyes opening. More like possibilities given temporary form. Ideas of civilizations rather than actual developed ones. Proto-realities, Mira confirmed, professional assessment returning. Fascinating. Your unconscious mind has populated this dimension with potential evolutionary patterns without fully manifesting them. So I created the structure, but not the details. Goku attempted to clarify. An apt analogy would be creating canvas and paints rather than painting the entire picture, Mira explained. You've established fundamental parameters within which reality can develop naturally rather than specifically designing each element. While they discussed implications, Pan squirmed in Vital's arms, reaching toward a particularly vibrant floating island nearby. Crystalline structures on its surface caught sunlight, refracting it into rainbow patterns that danced across the sky. She wants to explore, Vital noted with maternal understanding. Though I'm not sure how safe this place is, considering it just popped into existence. The structural integrity appears stable, Mira assessed. Though without deliberate creation parameters, unexpected variations may occur in areas farther from the dimensional anchor point. She gestured toward their home. This dwelling serves as stability nexus. Maybe we should stay close to the house for now, Gohan suggested prudently. Always practical, Chi-Chi approved, though her own expression betrayed curiosity about their surroundings. Though I must admit, it is rather beautiful in a completely impossible way. As they conversed, Goku noticed something unusual, an aurora-like disturbance in the atmosphere above them, LSING with intensity that suggested more than natural phenomena. His enhanced senses detected deliberate pattern rather than random energy fluctuation. Something's coming, he warned, instinctively, moving into a protective stance before his family. The aurora intensified, swirling into a vortex that tore open at its center. From within emerged a petite, pink-skinned woman with pointed ears and striking white hair. Her unusual attire, a combination of traditional Kai garments and more practical modifications, identified her as divine, though not of any particular hierarchy Goku immediately recognized. She clutched an ornate staff topped with an hourglass-like ornament that pulsed with temporal energy. Son Goku, the newcomer called, her youthful appearance contrasting with voice that carried unmistakable authority. What exactly do you think you're doing? Do you have any idea how many timeline distortions you've created in the last few hours? Timeline distortions, Goku repeated, confusion evident. While he recognized divine energy, this particular deity remained unfamiliar. Mira stepped forward, executing a formal bow that suggested recognition. Supreme Kai of Time, your presence honors us. Supreme Kai of Time, Gohan questioned. I didn't realize there was a specific Kai assigned to time administration. Chronoa, the pink Kai introduced herself with evident irritation. And yes, time requires careful management, particularly when individuals start punching holes in dimensional barriers and creating pocket realities without proper cosmic clearance. She floated closer. Staff directed accusingly toward Goku. The time nest is absolute chaos right now. Temporal alerts sounding everywhere, potential timeline branches multiplying beyond calculation, paradox warnings flashing across every monitor. Care to explain yourself? Goku scratched his head, disarmed by the diminutive deity's forceful personality despite her non-threatening appearance. Well, I soar. Have merged with something called the Dragon of Creation this morning, and now reality gets a bit weird around me. The Dragon of Chronoa's annoyance shifted instantly to stunned disbelief. Sozoryu, the primordial creator. Her gaze sharpened, studying Goku with newfound intensity. That's impossible. Sozoryu withdrew from active participation in cosmic affairs before the current divine hierarchy was even established. Evidently, circumstances have changed, Mira stated, formal tone suggesting the diplomatic caution of someone addressing a superior authority. The Dragon of Creation has selected Son Goku as vessel, conferring full creative potential upon him. Chronoa circled Goku slowly, temporal energy radiating from her staff as she conducted some form of scan. Her ion shifted from skepticism to astonishment as readings confirmed Mira's claim. This is unprecedented, she finally acknowledged, landing before Goku with considering gaze. The cosmic balance Ha's function for eons with creation energy distributed through established hierarchies, Kais creating within strict parameters, destroyers eliminating excess. Direct wielding of primordial creation energy by a mortal vessel. She shook her head. The implications for timeline stability are incalculable. Is that bad? Goku questioned with straightforward concern. Potentially catastrophic, Chronoa confirmed bluntly. Or possibly revolutionary. That's what worries me. I genuinely can't predict the consequences. Her gaze shifted to the pocket dimension surrounding them. This spontaneous reality creation, for example. Have you any idea what happens when unplanned dimensional pockets intersect with established timelines? The computational requirements for maintaining temporal consist in see across such intersections exceed even divine capacity. Goku's expression remained puzzled but concerned. I didn't mean to cause problems. I'm still learning to control these new powers. RNING to, Chronoa sputtered indignantly. These aren't martial arts techniques to be mastered through practice bouts. Creation energy restructures fundamental reality. There are protocols, permissions, cosmic oversight requirements. Bureaucracy, Chi-Chi identified with the weary recognition of someone who had navigated governmental systems. Even the gods have paperwork, it seems. Chronoa hot her a look of surprised appreciation. Precisely. Proper forms filed in septuplicate, reality alteration permits, environmental impact statements across 12 dimensions. Not. She gestured expansively at their surroundings. Spontaneous pocket dimensions created during family breakfast. Despite the seriousness of the situation, Goku found himself smiling at the Supreme Kai of Time's indignant administrative concerns. Her passionate defense of cosmic paperwork seemed oddly endearing compared to the universe-threatening crises he typically faced. I'm sorry for the extra work, he offered sincerely. If there's some way I can help fix the timeline problems. Fix the, Chronoa began indignantly before catching herself. She inhaled deeply, visibly recentering. Son Goku, you don't understand. This isn't about extra work. Timeline instability threatens existence itself. Creation energy wielded without proper training or oversight could unravel causal relationships across multiple universes. She turned to Mira. You were guardian of Sozoryu's temple. Surely you understand the risks. Indeed, Mira acknowledged. However, the dragon of creation selected Son Goku with full awareness of cosmic implications. There must be purpose behind this apparent disruption of established order. Chronoa frowned, temporal staff pulsing with frustrated energy. Purpose or not, we need to establish some basic control parameters before. Her statement ended abruptly as reality rippled around them. Unlike the gentle distortions accompanying Goku's creation energy, this disruption ca. read malevolent intent. Jagged tears appearing in the dimensional fabric, accompanied by dissonant frequencies that set teeth on edge. What's happening? Gohan questioned, instinctively moving to protect Vital and Pan. Dimensional intrusion. Chronoa and Mira answered simultaneously, exchanging alarmed glances at their synchronicity. The Supreme Kai of Time raised her staff, temporal energy F. Laring as she attempted to stabilize the growing rifts. Something's forcing entry into this pocket dimension, something that shouldn't be able to perceive its existence, much less breach its boundaries. Myra's expression hardened with recognition. The architects. The who? Goku questioned, already moving into defensive stance as the rifts widened. Ancient beings who sought Sozoryu's power. Before the dragon withdrew from cosmic affairs, Mira explained rapidly. They were deemed unworthy, their ambition exceeding their wisdom. Some were imprisoned between dimensions as punishment for attempting to seize creation energy by force. And now they've detected its re-emergence, Chronoa concluded grimly. The largest rift completed its expansion with a sound like reality shattering. Throw. Ahit stepped a humanoid figure whose appearance defied complete comprehension, features shifting between multiple possibilities, limbs occasionally multiplying before resolving back to conventional form. Only the eyes remained constant, black voids flecked with what appeared to be distant galaxies. Sozoryu. The being addressed Goku directly, voice resonating with harmonics that caused physical pain to ordinary hearing. After eons of absence, you emerge with such disappointing choice of vessel. 4 additional figures emerged from smaller rifts, each demonstrating similar reality-distorting properties. They arranged themselves in formation behind the speaker, clearly deferring to his authority. Kairos, Mira identified, dropping into a formal combat stance Goku didn't recognize. First among the rejected aspirants. You were sentenced to dimensional imprisonment for attempting to seize creation energy through force rather than worthiness. Imprisonment is a temporary inconvenience when one understands reality's fundamental architecture, Kairos responded dismissively. His shifting gaze fixed on Goku with predatory intensity. This mortal cannot possibly comprehend the power he has stumbled into. We who devoted eons to understanding creation's principles were rejected, yet this fighter is deemed worthy. Goku assessed the intruders with the practiced evaluation of a seasoned warrior. Despite their unstable appearance, he sensed immense power, not conventional ki or even god energy, but something that resonated with his newly acquired creation abilities. I don't know why the dragon chose me, Goku admitted honestly, but I'm guessing it had good reasons for not picking you. Kairos's expression contorted with anger that manifested as localized reality distortions, air solidifying, ground liquefying, colors inverting within his immediate vicinity. Ignorant vessel, he snarled. You wield creation's potential with the understanding of an infant. Under our guidance, that power could restructure cosmic hierarchies, establish perfect order across all realities. Perfect order is stagnation, Mira countered. Sozoryu values potential over perfection. Enough debate, Chronoa interrupted, staff pulsing with temporal energy. Kairos and his followers were imprisoned by cosmic decree. Their presence threatens established timeline integrity. He directed her staff toward the intruders, attempting to enfold them in temporal binding. By authority of the Supreme Kai of Time, I command your return to designated containment. Kairos laughed, a sound that manifested physically as crystalline structures erupting from the ground, each reflecting distorted versions of those present. Your authority means nothing here, little timekeeper, he mocked. This pocket dimension exists outside your jurisdiction, created by power that predates your office. With casual gesture, he deflected Chronoa's temporal energy, redirecting it into one of his followers. The unfortunate architect twisted grotesquely as time streams entangled within his form, aging and de-aging simultaneously until his existence shattered into temporal fragments. Stop this, Goku demanded, golden blue creation energy instinctively manifesting around him in protective response. Leave my family and friends alone. Family, friends. Kairos echoed with contemptuous amusement. You anchor creation's potential to such trivial connections. Such limited imagination. He extended a hand toward Chi-Chi, reality distorting around her as he attempted to rewrite her existence. Perhaps with proper motivation, you'll recognize how meaningless these attachments truly are. The attack never connected, moving with speed that surprised even those familiar with his capabilities. Goku interposed himself between Kairos and his wife. Rather than countering with destructive force as he might have previously, Goku's creation energy responded instinctively to his protective eye. NTENT, manifesting a barrier that didn't merely block Kairos's power but integrated and neutralized it within a harmonizing field. Interesting, Kairos observed, genuine surprise registering briefly. You counter creation with creation rather than destruction. Perhaps there's more to you than apparent, vessel. My name is Son Goku, he corrected firmly. And I might not understand everything about these new powers yet, but I know enough to stop you from hurting people I care about. Kairos gestured, his 4 remaining followers moving to surround the group. Sentiment. How disappointing th. At creation's potential should be wasted on emotional attachments rather than cosmic vision. I'm starting to understand why the dragon didn't pick you, Goku responded, creation energy continuing to flow around him in protective patterns. Power isn't much use without something worth protecting. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Kairos's ever-shifting features. Protect, maintain, preserve, such limited ambitions. Creation energy should transform, revolutionize, perfect. That's where you're wrong, Goku countered, understanding crystallizing within him. Creation isn't about forcing change. It's about allowing potential to develop naturally. As he spoke, his creation energy responded, not with destructive force against the architects but with reintegrating influence. On the dimensional tiers they had created, the jagged rifts began healing, dimensional fabric rewoven with golden blue energy that didn't simply repair damage but strengthened underlying patterns. Arrows noticed the effect with evident alarm. Stop him, he commanded his followers. The vessel is instinctively stabilizing dimensional boundaries. The 4 architects attacked simultaneously, EAC, manipulating reality with distortions aimed at disrupting Goku's protective field. Under ordinary circumstances, even Goku might have struggled against multiple reality manipulators with eons of experience. But within this pocket dimension, unconsciously created through his connection with Pan, he possessed home field advantage beyond conventional understanding. Rather than countering each attack individually, Goku expanded his awareness into the dimensional fabric itself, perceiving not just the architect's techniques but the fundamental principles they manipulated. Where they distorted, he harmonized. Where they fragmented, he integrated. He's using creation energy correctly, Mira observed with professional appreciation. Intuitive understanding rather than forced application. Incredible, Chronoa whispered. Temporal staff lowered as she watched Goku counter advanced dimensional manipulation through intuition and adaptability rather than formal technique. He's never had training in creation principles. Yet he's countering beings who studied for millennia. That's Dad, Gohan stated with quiet pride. He's always learned fastest through doing rather than studying. The architects' attacks grew increasingly desperate as their reality distortions failed to penetrate Goku's protective influence. Kairos, recognizing the shifting balance, abandoned subtlety for direct assault, his form expanding into a multidimensional configuration that attacked from several planes simultaneously. You cannot comprehend the forces you wield, vessel, he snarled, voice echoing from multiple points in space-time. Surrender creation's power to those who understand its true potential. Instead of matching Kairos's dimensional expansion, Goku responded with focused simplicity. His creation energy condensed into a perfect sphere between his palms, not gathering for an attack, but concentrating into pure creative potential. I might not understand everything about these powers, Goku acknowledged. But I understand what they're for better than you do. With gentle motion completely unlike his usual combat techniques, Goku released the sphere not toward Kairos but into the dimensional fabric itself. Instead of destructive impact, the energy spread through reality like ripples across water, each wave carrying harmonizing influence that counteracted the architect's distortions. What are you doing? Kairos demanded, his multidimensional form beginning to compress as the pocket dimension's parameters reasserted natural order. Creating balance, Goku answered simply. Not forcing my will on reality, but helping it find its natural pattern. The distinction proved crucial. Where the architects imposed arbitrary distortions through technical knowledge, Goku facilitated inherent harmony through intuitive connection. Creation energy responded dramatically to this fundamental difference in approach, the entire pocket dimension resonating with his harmonizing influx. Rather than the architect's disruptive manipulation. Kairos' followers, less powerful than their leader, found themselves increasingly constrained by reality's reassertion of natural parameters. Air-shifting forms stabilized against their will, limiting their dimensional manipulation capabilities. Retreat, Kairos commanded, recognizing their deteriorating position. The vessel possesses unexpected affinity with creation energy. We require recalibration of approach. 3 followers managed to tear open exit rifts, escaping into the dimensional void beyond. The 4th, too weakened by Goku's harmonizing energy, could only watch in horror as his form crystallized into fixed configuration, dimensional manipulation abilities neutralized. Kairos himself tore open a final rift, but used before exiting to fix Goku with a gaze containing equal parts hatred and newfound respect. This encounter has been educational, vessel, he acknowledged reluctantly. Perhaps Sozoryu's selection was not entirely without merit. But your instinctive affinity will not suffice against our technical mastery once properly adapted. You're welcome to try again, Goku offered with characteristic fighting spirit. Though without the bloodthirst that might have accompanied the invitation previously. But maybe next time, we could talk instead of fight. There's probably enough creation energy for everyone to use wisely. Kairos's expression suggested the concept of cooperation had never occurred to him. A completely foreign paradigm compared to his hierarchical understanding. Curious, he murmured, more to himself than Goku. The vessel thinks in terms of abundance rather than scarcity. With that cryptic observation, he stepped through the rift, which sealed behind him with finality. That suggested deliberate closure rather than forced expulsion. Only the crystallized architect remained, form locked into a single configuration that appeared more statue than living entity. His expression reflected the horror of imprisonment within fixed parameters, perhaps the worst possible fate for beings who defined themselves through continuous transformation. Chronoa approached cautiously, temporal staff extended toward the immobilized figure. Fascinating. You didn't destroy him or banish him. You simply stabilized him. Destruction didn't feel right, Goku explained. Creation. Energy receding as immediate threat passed. And I wasn't sure how to send him back properly. Fixing him in one form seemed safer than leaving him able to attack again. Unprecedented approach, Mira assessed. Circling the crystallized architect with professional evaluation. Creation energy typically manifests as either generative force or redistributive transformation. This selective stabilization represents advanced application. It just felt like the right thing to do, Goku shrugged, downplaying the intuitive mastery he'd demonstrated. Chronoa studied him with newfound appreciation. Previous administrative irritation yielding to professional respect. You handled multidimensional entities with millennia of technical experience through pure intuition. Even with creation energy, that shouldn't have been possible without extensive training. Dad's always been like that, Gohan noted proudly. He masters in minutes what takes others years to learn. Chi-Chi approached, practical concerns reasserting now that immediate danger had passed. That's all very impressive. But are these, architect, people coming back? And are we still stuck in this pocket dimension? Because I have laundry scheduled for today. And interdimensional crises are not. Clean clothes are still necessary. Her matter-of-fact priorities amid cosmic developments drew unexpected laughter from Chronoa, Sakal's sound suggesting the supreme Kai of time rarely found opportunity for genuine amusement. I like your wife, Goku, she declared with refreshing directness. She maintains perspective even when reality itself becomes negotiable. Chi-Chi's always been the practical one, Goku acknowledged affectionately. I handle the fighting, she handles everything else. An effective partnership, CHR. Onoa observed with thoughtful assessment. Perhaps that's part of what Sozoryu recognized in you, the capacity for meaningful connection beyond power itself. She turned in slow circle, reassessing E-pocket dimension with newfound appreciation rather than administrative concern. This spontaneous creation, it's actually remarkably stable for an unplanned dimensional construct. There are Harmon ICS here that suggest intuitive understanding of dimensional architecture beyond technical knowledge. So we're not causing universe-ending paradoxes. Gohan clarified hopefully. Not immediately, Chronoa conceded. Though proper training and oversight remain essential. She fixed Goku with direct gaze. Your natural affinity for creation energy is impressive, but intuition alone won't suffice for advanced applications. That's why Myra's here, Goku explained. To help me learn properly. Chronoa assessed the ancient guardian with evaluating gaze. Temple guardians possess valuable historical knowledge. But practical application expertise may prove insufficient against threats like Kairos. The architects were imprisoned before her guardianship began. Are you offering to help? Goku questioned perceptively. Chronoa hesitated, divine responsibility warring with evident personal interest. My primary duty concerns timeline maintenance. Creation energy manipulation falls outside my official jurisdiction. But you're clearly knowledgeable about dimensional interactions, Gohan observed. And concerned about potential timeline disruptions from Dad's new abilities. And you're the only deity who's actually shown up to help rather than complain, Chi-Chi added pointedly. The Supreme Kai and Beerus are probably still asleep while my husband accidentally creates dimensions during breakfast. Chronoa's lips twitched with suppressed amusement at Chi-Chi's assessment. An accurate observation about current divine response priorities, she acknowledged. Very well. In the interest of timeline stability, I could provide consultation regarding temporal implications of creation energy manipulation. Meaning you'll help Dad learn to control these powers without breaking time itself. Gohan translated with gentle humor. Precisely. Chronoa nodded, temporal staff tapping decisively against the ground. Beginning with properly reintegrating this pocket dimension with your original reality location. While impressive, maintaining an unregistered dimensional construct violates at least 17 cosmic ordinances. Back to paperwork concerns, Chi-Chi noted with knowing smile. Some things remain constant across all levels of existence. Administration is the foundation of cosmic stability, Chronoa defended, though her tone carried good-humored recognition of how her priorities might appear to others. Goku approached the Supreme Kai of Time with genuine appreciation. Thank you for offering to help. I know you probably have important time stuff to manage. Time management is literally my function, Chronoa confirmed dryly. But perhaps direct intervention now prevents greater disruption later. Efficient prioritization rather than abdication of responsibility. She turned to face the dimensional boundaries, staff raised. Now, shall we return this lovely but unauthorized pocket dimension to its proper connection with Earth's primary timeline? I imagine your friends will have noticed your home's partial dimensional displacement by now. Knowing Bulma, she's probably already invented some device to track interdimensional fluctuations and is on her way here. Gohan predicted with fond exasperation. Beginning dimensional reintegration, Chronoa announced, temporal energy flowing from her staff to connect with Goku's creation energy. Focus on your connection to your original home location, Goku. Visualize the mountain, the forests, the specific placement in space-time. Goku closed his eyes, concentrating on Mount Paozu as he'd known it throughout his life. The familiar trees, the well-worn paths, the specific quality of sunlight filtering through forest canopy. His creation energy responded, golden blue patterns extending from his form to connect with Chronoa's temporal stabilization field. Dimensional coordinates aligning, Mira confirmed, monitoring the process with professional assessment. Reintegration proceeding within acceptable parameters. Reality shifted around them, not the violent distortion of the architect's forced entry, but gentle realignment like puzzle pieces finding their proper configuration. The impossible vistas beyond their immediate surroundings faded gradually, replaced by Mount Paozu's familiar landscape sliding back into position like a photograph coming into focus. Connections re-establishing, Chronoa narrated. Staff directing the process with precise adjustments. Temporal synchronization at 97% and climbing. Minor causality fluctuations resolving. A subtle sensation like pressure equalizing in ears after altitude change. Reality completed its reintegration. The Sun family home stood once more on its familiar mountainside, dimensional barrier. properly aligned with Earth's primary timeline. Successful reintegration, Mira announced with evident approval. Minimal residual distortion. Impressive execution. Supreme Kai of time. Collaborative effort, Chronoa corrected. Acknowledging Goku's contribution, your intuitive understanding of dimensional anchoring proved crucial to clean reintegration. Goku opened his eyes, sensing the restored connection to Earth's reality with satisfied relief. Everything feels right again, though I kind of miss those floating islands, they were pretty. The pocket dimension hasn't been destroyed, Chronoa explained. Merely properly integrated as a subdimensional construct with appropriate anchoring to primary reality. With proper authorization and registration, limited access could potentially be established. More cosmic paperwork, Chi-Chi guessed with knowing smile. Form CR 7809, Application for Maintenance of Personally Generated Reality Construct, submitted in quintuplicate to the Dimensional Registry Office. Chronoa confirmed seriously before her formal expression cracked into unexpected grin. Though I might be persuaded to expedite the processing given extenuating circumstances. The Supreme Kai of Time's willingness to bend administrative procedures marked significant shift from her initial bureaucratic indignation, a change not lost on Gohan, who observed the interaction with scholarly interest. Well, at least we're home again, Chi-Chi declared practically. And if you're all staying to continue this creation energy training, I should start preparing lunch. Dimensional crises always seem to increase Goku's appetite. Most things increase Dad's appetite, Gohan noted affectionately. I would be honored to assist with meal preparation, Mira offered unexpectedly. Observing your food creation methods could provide valuable insights into materialization principles applicable to Son Goku's training. Chi-Chi assessed the ancient guardian with surprised appreciation. At least someone around here recognizes the importance of proper food preparation. Come along then. You can chop vegetables while I explain my soup technique. As the unlikely pair headed toward the kitchen, Chronoa observed their departure with evident amusement. Cosmic Guardian learning culinary arts from a mortal woman. The day continues to defy conventional expectations. That's pretty standard around here. Gohan confirmed, Vital nodding agreement beside him. Extraordinary becomes ordinary in the Sun household. Perhaps that's why Sozoryu chose your father, Chronoa mused. Creation thrives in environments where possibility remains unrestricted by conventional expectation. Goku, who had been experimentally generating small creation energy patterns while the others talked, looked up with sudden understanding. That makes sense. I've never been good at following normal rules or doing things the expected way. An understatement, Chronoa noted dryly. Quote, your entire existence represents probability defiance, Son Goku. From mortal to God challenger, from destroying universes to now wielding creation itself, your journey consistently transcends predictable parameters. She approached him with evaluating gaze. The question becomes, what will you create with this power now entrusted to you? Sozoryu clearly believes you worthy, but worthiness represents beginning rather than conclusion. I'm still figuring that out, Goku admitted honestly. All I know for sure is that I want to protect what matters, my family, my friends, Earth, and all the good things across universes. If creation energy helps me do that better than destruction, I'm willing to learn. A worthy starting principle, Chronoa acknowledged. Though creation's potential extends far beyond protection of what exists into manifestation of what could be. Her staff tapped thoughtfully against the ground as she considered him anew. Perhaps that's the next phase of your evolution, Son Goku. You've mastered the art of combat, of destruction when necessary. Now comes a greater challenge, learning to build rather than merely defend. Goku nodded, accepting the wisdom in her assessment. I've always been better at fighting than creating. But I'm willing to learn. Then learn you shall, Chronoa declared decisively. Between Myra's historical knowledge, my temporal expertise, and your instinctive affinity, proper mastery remains achievable. Her expression shifted to unexpected mischief. Besides, observing the wielder of creation's power learning through trial and error. ROR promises more entertainment than I've experienced in several millennia of cosmic administration. Glad I can keep things interesting, Goku responded with genuine smile. Above them, reality pled subtly, not the chaotic distortions of uncontrolled creation energy, but gentle harmonic patterns suggesting Goku's growing intuitive connection with his new abilities. Where destruction had once been his primary strength, creation now offered expanded potential limited only by imagination and wisdom. The dragon of creation had awakened, choosing its vessel not for perfection but for heart. Consequences would echo across realities, through timelines, and beyond conventional understanding, ripples of possibility expanding outward from this unexpected union of ancient power and unorthodox warrior. The greatest adventure of Son Goku's extraordinary life had only just begun. Chapter 2 and Chapter 3, The Architect's Challenge. Dawn had not yet broken over Capsule Corporation head Ku Arders when Bulma Briefs bolted upright in bed, startled awake by blaring alarms from her laboratory. Beside her, Vegeta merely grunted and rolled over, long accustomed to the scientific emergencies that punctuated their marriage. Bulma's bare feet barely touched the floor before she was racing down the corridor, tying her silk robe as she ran. Computer, identify alarm classification. She barked, retinal scanner granting her access to the primary research wing. Interdimensional anomaly detected, the AI responded in its measured tone. Classification: unprecedented, multiple reality signatures intersecting with Earth Prime. Three-dimensional holograms materialized as she entered the main laboratory, displaying Earth surrounded by swirling distortions that pulsed with colors her monitoring systems struggled to classify. The largest anomaly hovered directly over Mount Paozu. Of course it's centered on Goku's home, Bulma muttered, fingers flying across holographic interfaces. Why am I not surprised? A door slid open behind her. What's that idiot Kakarot done now? Vegeta demanded, his sleep-rumpled appearance contrasting with the sharp alertness in his eyes. Something impossible, as usual. Bulma replied without looking up. These readings suggest reality itself bent around Mount Paozu several hours ago. A pocket dimension temporarily replaced normal space-time before reintegrating. Vegeta's expression shifted from irritation to genuine concern. That's not standard Saiyan ability. Not even Ultra Instinct should affect dimensional boundaries. Which means either some new threat is targeting Earth through Goku, or he's found some new power to chase, Vegeta finished, a competitive gleam entering his eyes. Computer, locate Son Goku's energy signature. Subject: Son Goku currently displaying unknown energy pattern. Conventional key tracking inadequate. Alternative detection methods initializing. The laboratory door burst open again, admitting a disheveled young woman clutching a stack of papers covered in complex equations. She wore mismatched pajamas under a lab coat, thick glasses sliding down her nose, dark hair escaping from what had probably been a neat bun several days earlier. Dr. Briefs. The dimensional stability coefficients are fluctuating beyond theoretical limits. Her accent carried traces of her native India, becoming more pronounced with excitement. The Hisakawa boundary equations can't account for. She stopped abruptly, noticing Vegeta's presence. Oh, hello, Mr. Vegeta. I didn't realize you were here. Arya. Bulma acknowledged with the distracted tone of someone managing multiple crises. I've told you before, just call me Bulma. And yes, I'm aware of the dimensional fluctuations. My alarms have been screaming for 10 minutes. But you don't understand. The young physicist thrust her equations forward. These aren't natural fluctuations or even artificial tears. This signature suggests conscious dimensional manipulation from within our reality, not external intrusion. Bulma's hands paused above her controls. That's impossible. No one on Earth has that technology except possibly you, Arya completed, pushing her glasses up, which is why I assumed it must be one of your experiments until I saw the epicenter location. All three stared at the holographic display showing Mount Paozu glowing with anomalous energy. Kakarot, Vegeta growled, though something like reluctant admiration tinged his irritation. Always finding new ways to surpass limits. We need to investigate immediately, Bulma decided, already reaching for her emergency capsule case. Arya, you're the dimensional physics expert. Gather whatever equipment you need. Me, the young scientist's eyes widened. But I'm theoretical research, not field operations. My equations aren't meant for practical application yet. Well, they're getting applied today, Bulma informed her briskly. Nothing's more practical than Goku breaking scientific impossibilities before breakfast. Vegeta had already disappeared, presumably to change from sleep attire to proper battle gear, leaving the two women to Pair the scientific response to whatever cosmic crisis had emerged overnight. 10 minutes, Bulma ordered. Meet at the primary hangar. Arya nodded nervously, clutching her equations as she hurried toward her laboratory. Mind racing through possibilities her theoretical models had never anticipated. Meanwhile, at the Sun residence, an unusual breakfast gathering occupied the modest kitchen. Chi-Chi served heaping portions of rice, fish, and pickled vegetables to an assembly that would have been unimaginable the day before, her husband radiating subtle golden blue energy that occasion. Ally caused chopsticks to transmute into flowering branches, Mira sampling each dish with ceremonial precision, and Chronoa floating slightly above her chair, temporal staff propped against the wall. So, Chi-Chi began conversationally. Refilling teacups. How long does learning to control creation energy usually take? Are we talking days, months, or years before my husband stops accidentally earning our furniture into exotic plant life? Chronoa delicately lifted her cup, savoring the aroma before responding. Creation mastery traditionally requires centuries of study, though given Goku's unprecedented learning curve with other abilities, he'll probably manage basic control by dinner. Gohan finished with fond exasperation, entering the kitchen with scholarly journals tucked under one arm. Though I've been researching dimensional theories all night, and nothing in established physics accounts for what Dad's doing. Conventional science lacks frameworks for understanding creation energy, Mira explained, meticulously aligning her chopsticks between bites. Its fundamental principles predate physical laws as currently understood, which makes formal instruction challenging, Chronoa added. Traditional teaching methods rely on established patterns and predictable progressions. Creation energy responds uniquely to each wielder's consciousness. Goku, who had been usually quiet while consuming his breakfast, looked up from his 7th bowl of rice. So I basically need to figure it out myself. That's not so different from how I've learned most techniques. Not entirely without guidance, Mira corrected. The temple contains training methodologies developed through millennia of observation. Basic principles remain consistent even as individual expression varies. And timeline stability requires certain foundational controls, Chronoa emphasized, her staff pulsing as if underlining her point. Unrestrained creation energy causes cascade effects across dimensional boundaries. Chi-Chi refilled Goku's bowl with practiced efficiency. Well, whatever training you're planning needs to happen soon. The last thing we need is Goku turning the kitchen table into a waterfall during dinner. That was one time, Goku protested with a grin, and you have to admit, the fish were delicious. The conversation paused as everyone sensed approaching energy signatures. Goku recognized them instantly. Vegeta and Bulma are coming. And someone else I don't recognize. Expected, Chronoa noted. Yesterday's dimensional disturbances would naturally attract attention from scientifically advanced individuals. Chi-Chi sighed, rising to prepare additional place settings. I'll make more tea. Minutes later, the distinctive whine of Capsule Corp's fast Saint aircraft heralded their visitor's arrival. Bulma was first through the door, not bothering to knock, her expression oscillating between scientific curiosity and exasperation. Son Goku, what exactly have you done to the fabric of reality this time? She demanded, sophisticated scanning device already sweeping the room. My instruments detected reality fractures extending through 17 dimensions. Behind her, Vegeta entered with arms crossed, his assessing gaze immediately focusing on the subtle changes in Goku's energy pattern. His eyes narrowed with characteristic competitive intensity. Kakarot, he acknowledged tersely. You've acquired new power. Again. The third visitor entered more hesitantly, a young woman in her late 20s, clutching advanced technological equipment. While gawking at the ordinary-looking house that had briefly existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The readings are impossible, she murmured, adjusting intricate sensors. Quantum entanglement across dimensional boundaries. But initiated from a singular consciousness nexus rather than mechanical intervention. Bulma made hasty introductions. This is Dr. Arya Patel, our dimensional physics specialist at Capsule Corp. Arya, this is Son Goku and his family, and, she paused, noticing the unfamiliar visitors. Mira, guardian of Creation's temple, Mira introduced herself with formal bow. And Supreme Kai of Time, administrator of temporal causality. Just Chronoa is fine, the pink-skinned deity amended, floating slightly above her chair to better observe the newcomers. Ari's scientific equipment clattered to the floor as her hands went limp with shock. Supreme Kai of time. But that's, temporal administration is theoretical, not, the implications for causality management. And would require computational capacity beyond any conceivable. Breathe, drive, Patel, Bulma advised, though her own expression reflected similar scientific excitement. Around Goku, theoretical imp. Possibilities have a habit of becoming Tuesday morning breakfast conversations. Vegeta ignored the scientific discussion, approaching Goku with direct intensity. What exactly have you done this time? Your energy signature has changed. It's not God Ki or Ultra Instinct. It's something older. Goku met his rival's gaze with uncharacteristic calm. I merged with something called the Dragon of Sea. Creation, a being that existed before the gods of destruction or supreme Kais. I'm still learning to control it. Creation, Vegeta repeated, an unfamiliar emotion flashing across his features. For perhaps the first time in their long rivalry, it wasn't envy or competition but genuine concern. You're manipulating fundamental reality now, Kakarot. Not intentionally, Goku admitted. Things just sort of happen when I'm not paying attention. As if to demonstrate, the teacup he lifted transformed from ceramic to crystalline material that captured and refracted light in impossible patterns. Goku stared at it in surprise before consciously reverting it to its original form. Fascinating. Arya had recovered enough to activate her scanning equipment again. You're altering quantum obability fields through consciousness alone. The implications for unified field theory are revolutionary. Her excitement manifested as rapid-fire questions while her devices recorded everything. And you manipulate specific atomic structures. Does your influence extend to temporal dimensions as well as spatial? Is there conservation of energy or does creation energy violate entropic principles? Perhaps we might continue this discussion outside, Chronoa suggested tactfully, noting Chi-Chi's growing irritation at having her kitchen invaded by scientific equipment. Goku's Control X, or sizes would benefit from open space anyway. The group relocated to the clearing outside the Sun residence, autumn sunshine warming the mountain air as fallen leaves crunched beneath their feet. Ra and Chronoa positioned themselves on either side of Goku, while Vegeta observed from slightly elevated ground, arms still crossed in characteristic stance. Creation energy responds to intention rather than physical movement, Mira instructed, demonstrating a meditative posture. Unlike ki manipulation, which projects outward from center, creation flows inward from periphery, condensing possibility into actuality. Goku adopted the stance, looking uncharacteristically serious. So instead of pushing energy out, I'm pulling potential in. A serviceable analogy, Chronoa approved. Begin with simple materialization. Visualize a perfect sphere of basic elements. Golden blue energy swirled around Goku's hands as he concentrated. Where combat energy would have formed destructive orbs, creation energy spiraled inward, coalescing into a perfect crystal sphere that hovered between his palms. Good, Mira assessed. Now increase complexity. Layer by layer, add detail without losing structural integrity. The sphere evolved under Goku's focused attention, internal structures forming, colors shifting, geometric patterns emerging with fractal precision. Unlike his previous uncontrolled creations, this manifestation remained stable, responding exactly to his conscious intent. He's manipulating matter at the subatomic level, Arya whispered, her instruments recording everything. Reconfiguring quantum probabilities to force specific outcomes rather than allowing natural uncertainty. In plain language, Bulma requested, her own scientific mind already calculating applications. He's telling reality what to be instead of accepting what it is, Arya simplified, pushing her glasses up with unrestrained excitement. But the energy expenditure should be astronomical. Rearranging a few atoms requires incredible force, yet he's restructuring millions simultaneously with apparent ease. Chronoa overheard their exchange. Creation energy operates outside conventional physical parameters. It doesn't overcome existing laws so much as it precedes them, shaping the conditions under which physical principles operate. Like programming the universe instead of just using its existing functions. Bulma translated for herself, comprehension dawning. That's terrifying and amazing. Vegeta had remained silent, but his keen eyes missed nothing. Kakarot has always adapted quickly to new power. But this is different. He's not fighting with increased strength, he's changing the nature of reality itself. For perhaps the first time since their rivalry began, Vegeta's expression held something beyond competitive drive or princely pride, a recognition that Goku had stepped into territory that transcended their traditional understanding of power. The raining continued through morning and into afternoon, each exercise increasing in complexity. From simple materialization, Goku progressed to transmutation, then to creating systems with moving components. And finally to manifesting small living organisms, flowers and butterflies that were indistinguishable from natural life. His learning curve is unprecedented, Mira observed to Chrono during a brief rest period. Techniques that should require decades to master, he grasps within hours. Chrono nodded, temporal staff occasionally pulsing as she monitored timeline stability. It's not mere aptitude. Creation energy resonates with his fundamental nature, his childlike wonder, his instinctive harmony with the universe. The dragon chose wisely. Throughout the training, Arya observed with increasing fascination, her scientific detachment gradually yielding to genuine wonder. Unlike others present, who had witnessed cosmic powers routinely, the young physicist experienced her first ECT encounter with forces beyond conventional science. Your equations capture the patterns well, Mira noted, appearing beside Arya as she frantically documented energy fluctuations. Few mortal men perceive multidimensional interactions so clearly. Startled, Arya looked up from her calculations. You understand these formulas, but they're based on theoretical physics beyond current publication. Creation's principles remain consistent regardless of how they're expressed, Mira replied. Your mathematical language differs from temple inscriptions, but the underlying truths align. Before their conversation could continue, reality shuddered around them, not the gentle ripples of Goku's controlled exercises, but violent distortions that cracked the very air. Chrono's staff flared WITH warning light as temporal alarms activated. Forced dimensional intrusion, she announced, all administrative pleasantry vanishing from her tone. Multiple breach points forming. Kairos, Mira identified immediately. The architect's return, likely with adapted techniques based on yesterday's encounter. Goku ceased his training exercises instantly, protective instincts superseding educational focus. Everyone get back. Vegeta, help me form a defensive perimeter. The Saiyan Prince leapt forward without hesitation, blue aura of Super Saiyan God SS erupting around him as he positioned himself opposite Goku. Whatever his competitive feelings, Vegeta never hesitated when genuine threats emerged. What exactly are we facing, Kakarot? He demanded, gathering destructive energy that contrasted sharply with Goku's creative force. Ancient beings called architects, Goku explained rapidly. They manipulate reality similar to creation energy but focused on control rather than harmony. Reality fractured in 7 locations simultaneously, dimensional barriers peeling away like burnt paper. Through each tear emerged figures whose appearances defied conventional perception, forms shifting between possibilities. Features rearranging in nauseating patterns that the human mind struggled to process. At their center, Kairos materialized, his existence more stable than previously but still fluctuating between potential states. His eyes, those unsettling voids containing distant galaxies, fixed immediately on Goku. The vessel evolves quickly, he observed, voice resonating with harmonics that caused nearby glass to vibrate. Crude training, but effective. Your affinity for creation energy exceeds our initial assessment. Kairos, Mira acknowledged, moving into formal guardian stance beside Goku. Your imprisonment was meant to be permanent. Permanence is merely a temporal consensus, Kairos dismissed. Reality remains negotiable for those who understand its architecture. His shifting gaze catalogued those present, pausing significantly on Vegeta. Another Saiyan. Fascinating species. Crude yet adaptable. Your destruction should provide valuable data regarding the vessel's emotional responses. Vegeta's aura intensified. I don't know what you are, but threatening a Saiyan prince guarantees only your own destruction. Before anyone could react, Kairos gestured, not an attack, but a complex manipulation of dimensional boundaries. Reality warped around them, landscape stretching and compressing as fundamental forces temporarily renegotiated their relationships. Gravity fluctuated wildly, Light bent at impossible angles. Time briefly desynchronized, causing everyone to experience momentary disconnection from conventional sequence. Only Chronoa remained completely stable, her temporal authority establishing a fixed reference point in the distortion. Timeline stabilization activated, she declared, staff planting firmly into ground. Causality anchors deployed. The reality distortions receded slightly within the perimeter established by Chronoa's temporal field, though beyond it, Mount Paozu continued experiencing bizarre transformations, trees evolving through multiple potential states, rocks exhibiting quantum properties normally visible only at microscopic scale. Impressive resistance, Kairos acknowledged, focusing on the supreme Kai of time. Your temporal authority creates localized stability. Inconvenient but surmountable, he turned to his followers, who had arranged themselves in heptagonal formation. Initiate reality cascade protocol. Priority target. The vessel. Quote, 7 architects began complex manipulations, their shifting hands weaving patterns that affected dimensional boundaries rather than physical matter. The air between them darkened, colors inverting as space itself folded inward, creating a vortex of concentrated distortion aimed directly at Goku. Everyone behind me, Goku commanded, golden blue creation. Energy manifesting not as attack but as protective barrier. Unlike conventional energy shields that repelled force, this barrier integrated incoming distortions, harmonizing their chaotic patterns into stable configurations before they could affect those protected. Fascinating approach, Kairos observed with clinical detachment. Using creation to stabilize rather than counter. Efficient but limited in offensive capacity. I don't need creation energy to fight, Goku responded, silver-white aura of Ultra Instinct suddenly flaring alongside golden-blue creation energy. The combination created unprecedented visual effect. Ultra Instinct's automatic combat perfection enhancing creation energy's reality manipulation. Vegeta launched forward without warning, blue-haired Super Saiyan form BL. Erring with speed as he targeted the nearest architect. His fist connected with reality-distorting force, only to pass through the being's shifting form without effect. Physical attacks cannot harm beings who exist partially outside conventional dimensionality, Mira called out. Target their dimensional anchoring points. They're what? Vegeta demanded, narrowly avoiding counterattack that temporarily inverted his perceptual orientation. The patterns at their core. Goku translated intuitively, not their bodies, but the structures holding their forms together. Understanding instantly, Vegeta adjusted his approach. Rather than targeting apparent physical forms, he concentrated energy at the nexus points where dimensional energies converged within each architect. His first success F.U.L. hit caused one of the 7 to destabilize dramatically, form fluctuating uncontrollably before re-solidifying. The Saiyan adapts quickly, Kairos noted with increased interest. Impressive intuitive understanding for a species traditionally limited to physical combat. While Vegeta engaged the architects directly, Goku maintained his protective barrier around the others. Creation energy straw, and against increasingly sophisticated reality distortions as Kairos personally joined the assault, his techniques demonstrating millennia of theoretical knowledge. You cannot maintain defensive integration indefinitely, vessel. Kairos assessed confidently. Creation energy requires precise balance between potential and manifestation. Your reserves deplete with each stabilization. He was right. Goku felt the strain increasing as Kairos systematically attacked dimensional weak points, forcing him to constantly readjust his protective field. Unlike key techniques, which Goku could maintain almost indefinitely at this point in his development, creation energy demanded continuous conscious direction. Dr. Patel, Bulma whispered urgently behind the barrier. Your dimensional equations, they help identify pattern vulnerabilities. Arya, who had been documenting everything with scientific precision despite personal terror, nodded hesitantly. Theoretically, these beings manipulate probability fields through geometric configurations. If I could isolate their specific interference patterns. Do it, Bulma instructed, providing her personal computing device. Find us a weakness while they're focused on Goku. Outside the barrier, Vegeta had adjusted brilliantly to interdimensional combat, his tactical genius compensating for unfamiliarity with the principles involved. Woe architects now displayed significant destabilization, their forms fluctuating uncontrollably as their dimensional anchoring failed. Kakarot, Vegeta called out, evading reality distortions with preternatural reflexes. Stop playing defensive. These creatures can't maintain coherence under sustained attack to their core patterns. I can't leave the others unprotected, Goku responded, strain evident in his voice as Kairos intensified his assault on the barrier. Chronoa stepped forward, temporal staff glowing with increasing intensity. I can establish limited temporal shielding. 30 seconds maximum without compromising timeline stability. All I need, Goku confirmed, preparing to transition from defense to offense. On my mark, Chronoa announced, staff rising. 3, 2, 1. Temporal stasis engaged. Iridescent energy erupted from her staff, creating dome of absolute temporal stability. Within it, conventional physics reasserted completely, reality distortions unab. Let to penetrate the fundamental pause in time's flow. Released from defensive responsibility, Goku launched forward, Ultra Instinct's silver-white aura surrounding his form while creation energy concentrated around his hands. The combination created unprecedented combat approach, his body moving with Ultra Instinct's perfect efficiency while creation energy targeted not physical forms but the dimensional architecture sustaining the architects themselves. Interesting combination, Kairos acknowledged, personally moving to intercept. Combat perfection enhancing creation application. Your adaptability impresses, Vessel. Goku didn't waste energy responding. Ultra Instinct's economy of motion guided him perfectly as he engaged Kairos directly, creation energy disrupting the complex pattern. NS maintaining the architect's dimensional coherence. Your technique lacks refinement, Kairos assessed, countering with reality distortions that would have shredded ordinary matter. Raw intuition. Cannot match millennia of theoretical development. Maybe not, Goku acknowledged, ducking beneath attack that briefly converted air into crystalline lattice. But sometimes understanding comes through feeling rather than thinking. Inside the temporal shield, Arya worked frantically, equations filling Bulma's device as she isolated interference patterns. These entities maintain dimensional coherence through sevenfold symmetrical structures, she explained rapidly. Each exists simultaneously across 7 planes, anchored through geometric configurations that skip the theory, Bulma interrupted. What's their weakness? Recursive feedback, Arya realized suddenly. Their dimensional manipulation creates momentary singularities at pattern intersections. If targeted precisely during reconfiguration phases. Outside, Goku and Vegeta fought with complementary approaches, Vegeta's destructive force disrupting external patterns while Goku's creation energy undermined internal coherence. 3 architects had already destabilized completely, their forms dissolving into dimensional static before retreating through tiers in reality. Kairos, however, demonstrated why he led the architects. His techniques adapted continuously, analyzing and countering each successful approach. Where Goku disrupted one pattern, Kairos established 2 more. Where Vegeta destroyed an anchoring point, Kairos redistributed dimensional stress across alternative configurations. Your potential remains impressive, Vessel, Kairos acknowledged during momentary pause in their exchange. But potential without structured application merely wastes opportunity. The barrier around Chronoa's temporal shield began weakening as the 30-second limit approached. Recognizing the imminent vulnerability, Kairos redirected his remaining followers toward the protected group. Target the temporal administrator, he commanded. Without her stability influence, reality becomes fully negotiable. Goku intercepted the attack with milliseconds to spare, creation energy forming not a shield but a complex dimensional redirection that inverted the architect's own techniques against them. The countermeasure succeeded but cost precious focus, allowing Kairos to slip past his defenses. The architect's hand connected with Goku's chest, dimensional manipulation attempting to rewrite his internal structure. Only the Dragon of Creation's merged essence prevented catastrophic reconfiguration, though pain beyond physical understanding still erupted through Goku's form. Direct manipulation ineffective, Kairos noted with scientific detachment. The dragon's essence protects your fundamental pattern. Interesting defense mechanism. Before he could attempt alternative approach, Chronoa's temporal shield collapsed on schedule. And Arya's voice rang out with unprecedented authority. Goku, the dimensional intersections create momentary vulnerabilities during reconfiguration. Target the 7th harmonic when patterns realign. Despite never having studied dimensional physics, Goku's enhanced perception immediately grasped her meaning. Creation energy allowed him to see exactly what Arya Desker. I bet. The brief instances when the architect's complex dimensional manipulations created paradoxical intersections. Now, Vegeta, Goku called, Ultra Instinct and Creation Energy combining as he charged. Ted precisely the weakness Arya had identified. The Saiyan Prince needed no detailed explanation. With characteristic battlefield genius, he interpreted Goku's intent perfectly, synchronizing his act to exploit the same vulnerability from opposite angle. Caught between perfectly timed assaults targeting their fundamental dimensional architecture, the remaining architects destabilized catastrophically. Their forms fluctuated through dozens of potential configurations before collapsing into dimensional static, retreating through reality tiers that sealed behind them. Only Kairos remained, his form demonstrating superior resilience though significant distortion now affected his previously controlled appearance. Unexpected, he acknowledged, galaxies spinning more rapidly in his void-like eyes. The mortal female identified pattern vulnerabilities through mathematical analysis alone. Perhaps I've underestimated this world's indigenous species. His gaze fixed on Arya, who clutched her equations with white-knuckled intensity despite maintaining scientific observation. Your dimensional understanding exceeds expected parameters for your civilization's development stage. Most interesting. Before anyone could react, Kairos gestured toward Arya, reality distorting between them as he extracted something intangible, not harming her physically but seeming to copy patterns directly from her consciousness. Knowledge acquired, he stated with clinical satisfaction. Your theoretical frameworks provide valuable perspective on dimensional interactions from limited observational positions. Quite elegant mathematics despite fundamental misconceptions. Goku moved instantly to intervene, but Kairos had already begun dimensional withdrawal, reality tearing open behind him. His encounter proves more educational than anticipated. Vessel, the architect addressed Goku directly. Your combat applications of creation energy demonstrate innovative approaches our theoretical models failed to anticipate. Adaptation of technique will be required. His shifting form began merging with the dimensional tear, but his final words carried ominous implication. We will return better prepared, Son Goku. Creation energy belongs with those who comprehend its full potential, not limiting it to mere protection and stabilization. The multiverse requires fundamental restructuring that only the architects can properly implement. With that declaration, Kairos disappeared completely, dimensional tear sealing behind him with finality that suggested deliberate withdrawal rather than forced retreat. Silence fell across the battlefield as reality gradually stabilized, Mount Paozu's landscape returning to normal parameters. Goku's creation energy receded to manageable levels while Vegeta allowed his Super Saiyan form to dissipate, though he remained vigilantly alert. Is everyone all right? Goku asked, concern evident as he rejoined the group. Physically unharmed, Chronoa confirmed, though her expression reflected rare uncertainty. However, Kairos extracted information directly from Dr. Patel's consciousness. The implications are concerning. All eyes turned to Arya, Ho stood trembling slightly though her scientific focus remained remarkable under the circumstances. He accessed my research. My understanding of dimensional mathematics. I felt him copying it directly from my mind. Knowledge acquisition rather than physical assault, Mira assessed grimly. Kairos values information above immediate victory. Your dimensional theories must contain insights he finds valuable. But my work is theoretical. Arya protested, professional concern momentarily overriding personal distress. Most of it remains unproven, based on mathematical models rather than experimental verification. Sometimes theoretical frameworks provide perspective that practical experience misses, Bulma noted. Fresh approaches can reveal blind spots in established understanding. Vegeta approached Goku directly, their usual competitive dynamic temporarily suspended by common threat. These architects are unlike any opponents we've faced, Kakarot. They don't fight for destruction or conquest. They manipulate fundamental reality itself. Yeah, Goku agreed, uncharacteristically serious. And they're learning from each encounter. Next time will be harder. There's something else, Chronoa interjected. Temporal staff pulsing with monitoring activity. Kairos didn't merely retreat, he established persistent dimensional monitoring. He's observing our reality from outside conventional parameters. Watching us, Chi-Chi questioned, having emerged from the house once immediate danger passed. Not merely observation but analysis, Mira clarified. The architect's street, UD creation energy's interaction with this specific reality framework, gathering data for refined approach. Arya had regained her scientific composure, though her hands still trembled slightly as he documented everything in her equations. If they're analyzing our dimensional parameters, they're likely identifying structural vulnerabilities. Points where reality's architecture could be most efficiently manipulated. Preparing for larger assault, Vegeta translated grimly. Tactical reconnaissance before main offensive. We need to prepare, Goku decided, creation energy briefly flaring as his protective instincts engaged. I'm still learning these new powers, but Kairos has been studying creation principles for thousands of years. Knowledge differs from wisdom, Mira reminded him. The architects understand creation's mechanics but misinterpret its purpose. Their approach lacks harmony with natural principles. Which might be why they need drive. Patel's research, Bulma realized suddenly. She's studying dimensions from within natural parameters rather than attempting to control them from outside. Her perspective complements their technical knowledge. Arya pushed her glasses up. Scientific excitement temporarily overriding recent trauma. That actually makes sense. My equations approach dimensional interactions as emergent properties of natural systems rather than imposed structures. I've been modeling how dimensions self-organize rather than how they might be artificially manipulated. Cooperation versus control, Chronoa summarized thoughtfully. Perhaps therein lies our advantage. Goku had been unusually quiet, processing everything with uncharacteristic patience. When he finally spoke, his simple wisdom cut through complex theories. So Kairos understands the techniques better. But we understand the purpose better. He knows how creation energy works, but not why it exists. All present, scientists, deities, and warriors alike, paused at this fundamental insight. Precisely, Mira confirmed, something like pride entering her typically formal tone. Creation energy exists not for control but for harmony. Not to impose order but to nurture potential. The architects fundamentally misunderstand its nature despite their technical mastery. Which explains why Sozoryu chose you rather than them, Chronoa added, regarding Goku with newfound appreciation. Technical perfection means nothing without proper understanding of purpose. Vegeta snorted, though without real malice. Leave it to Kakarot to accidentally understand cosmic principles. Better than beings who've studied them for millennia. I wouldn't say I understand them, Goku objected modestly. I just feel what's right when I'm using the power. It's like the difference between knowing fighting techniques and having actual battle instinct. A perfect analogy, Mira approved. The architects possess comprehensive technical knowledge but lack intuitive harmony with creation's essence. While this discussion continued, Arya had been reviewing her equations with increasing excitement, scientific curiosity overcoming recent distress. This changes everything about dimensional theory, she murmured. More to herself than others. My equations approached dimensional boundaries as mathematical constructs, but they're actually responsive to consciousness itself. She looked up suddenly, focusing on Goku with intensity that startled him. You're doing intuitively what my equations predicted theoretically, manipulating probability fields through conscious intention rather than physical force. If you say so, Goku responded, rubbing the back of his head in characteristic gesture. You don't understand, Arya continued, scientific passion now fully eclipsing earlier fear. I've spent years developing mathematical frameworks for dimensional interaction without any practical application method. But you're instinctively implementing exactly what my theories predicted. Her excitement manifested physically, pacing, gesturing wildly with her papers, glasses sliding down her nose unnoticed. The harmonic resonance between consciousness and quantum probability fields. The recursive feedback loops in dimensional boundaries, the emergent properties of reality consciousness interaction, you're demonstrating all of it without even knowing the mathematical principles involved. Bulma placed a calming hand on the young physicist's shoulder. I think what Arya's trying to say is that her theoretical research might help explain how your creation powers work, Goku. And potentially identify more effective applications, Arya added, slightly more composed. If your intuitive approaches could be mapped to mathematical models, we might predict optimal techniques for specific situations. Science supporting intuition, Chronoa mused thoughtfully. An unusual but potentially effective combination. Goku considered this with uncharacteristic thoughtfulness. So your equations might help me understand what I'm doing instinctively. Like having a map instead of just wandering around. Precisely. Arya confirmed enthusiastically. My dimensional model could provide structured understanding to complement your intuitive application. And more importantly, Vegeta interjected practically, potentially identify vulnerabilities in the architect's techniques that we can exploit. Both worthy objectives, Mira acknowledged. Temple training methodologies focus on harmonizing with creation energy rather than technical analysis of its properties. Dr. Patel's scientific approach provides complementary perspective. Then it's settled, Goku decided. Arya joins our training group. Her science combines with Myra's traditional knowledge and Chronoa's temporal expertise. Bulma smirked slightly. Did anyone actually ask if Dr. Patel wants to join your impromptu creation energy school? She does have official research responsibilities at Capsule Corp. All eyes turned to Arya, who appeared momentarily overwhelmed by direct attention after speaking primarily through her scientific passion. Adjusting her glasses nervously, she gathered her professional composure. From purely scientific perspective, this represents unprecedented research opportunity, she began formally before her genuine excitement broke through. Are you kidding, Stu? Dying actual creation energy application with the Supreme Kai of Time and an ancient temple guardian. I'd trade 10 research grants and my entire publication history for this chance. She turned to Bulma directly. If you could approve temporary reassignment from standard research duties. Already mentally drafting the paperwork, Bulma assured her with understanding smile. Besides, saving our Elati from ancient dimensional manipulators definitely qualifies as approved research activity. With that decided, practical considerations resumed. Chi-Chi, ever focused on immediate needs regardless of cosmic implications. Announced lunch would be ready shortly. Goku's face lit up with characteristic enthusiasm for food, creation energy momentarily forgotten in favor of more immediate appetites. As they headed toward the house, Arya found herself walking beside Goku, scientific curiosity compelling her to continue observation. Your creation energy manifests golden blue chromatic signature during application, she noted. Recording observations in her ever-present notes. Does the color variation correspond to specific techniques or manipulation types? Goku considered this with surprising seriousness. I haven't really thought about it, but now that you mention it, it does feel different when it's more gold versus more blue. Gold seems to work better for making new things, blue helps more with changing what already exists. Creation versus transmutation differentiation, Arya exclaimed, frantically documenting. The spectral variation might indicate fundamental operational modes within the unified energy field. Her enthusiasm continued unabated as they entered the house, technical questions flowing continuously. Rather than finding her scientific intensity annoying, Goku responded with patient good humor, his straightforward nature perfectly complementing her technical complexity. Arya fits right in, Gohan observed to Vital as they watched the unlikely pair. Not everyone can go from being attacked by interdimensional beings to enthusiastically researching their physics within the same hour. Sun family tends to attract the adaptable, Vital agreed with affectionate smile. Bouncing Pan gently in her arms, the baby gurgled happily, seemingly untroubled by recent cosmic confrontation. As Chi-Chi served lunch with practiced efficiency, somehow producing enough food for multiple Saiyans, 2 deities, an ancient guardian, and various humans without apparent strain, conversation continued regarding next steps. We should relocate training to more appropriate facilities, Chronoa suggested, temporal staff propped against her chair. Mount Paozu's isolated location provided adequate initial setting, but structured development requires specialized environments. The temple offers optimal conditions, Mira proposed. Its architecture specifically supports creation energy manipulation within stable dimensional parameters. But dimensional transit currently presents difficulties, Chronoa countered. Each translocation creates temporal disturbances that could attract unwanted attention from the architects. What about Capsule Corporation? Bulma suggested. Our dimensional research facility contains equipment designed specifically for measuring and containing reality distortions. We could convert the entire East Wing for training purposes. Combining traditional methodologies with scientific monitoring does present advantages, Mira acknowledged. The temple's isolation originally served protective purposes that may no longer apply given current circumstances. Goku, who had been uncharacteristically quiet while consuming enough food for several people, finally offered his perspective. Training location matters less than understanding purpose. I learned most techniques without fancy facilities, just focus and practice. Fair point, Chronoa conceded. Though controlled environment reduces collateral effects during learning stages. I propose compromise, Mira suggested. Primary training at Capsule Corporation with supplementary sessions at both the temple and Time Nest as specific techniques require. Agreement reached. Conversation shifted to practical implementation. Bulma began listing necessary equipment modifications while Arya suggested experimental protocols to quantify creation energy properties. Vegeta, showing unexpected interest, contributed combat-oriented testing scenarios that would pressure test control under adverse conditions. Throughout this planning, Chi-Chi maintained practica-L perspective that grounded cosmic considerations in everyday reality. Just make sure whatever training facility you design includes proper living arrangements, she insisted. Creation energy or not, Goku still needs proper meals and regular rest. And someone needs to ensure he actually changes clothes occasionally. I'm not that bad, Goku protested through mouthful of rice. You once were. The same GI for 3 weeks straight during tournament preparation, Chi-Chi countered with wifely accuracy. Creation's vessel requires basic hygiene standards. This domestic exchange, so normal mid extraordinary circumstances, seemed to particularly fascinate Mira, whose millennia of formal guardianship had not prepared her for family dynamics. The integration of cosmic responsibility with ordinary existence presents unexpected complexity, she observed to Chronoa. Temple protocols never addressed domestic considerations. One of many oversight gaps in traditional cosmic administration, Chronoa agreed. Divine hierarchies typically separate function from life, duty from existence. Perhaps integration represents improvement rather than complication. This philosophical exchange as interrupted by Arya's excited realization. Wait, if creation energy responds to consciousness rather than physical technique, emotional state must significantly impact application efficiency. All eyes turned to the young physicist, whose cognitive connections had apparently leapt several conversational steps ahead. Explain, Mira requested, genuine interest evident. If Goku's creation RGY manifests through consciousness directly affecting probability fields, then his emotional and psychological state would create significant application variables. Arya elaborated, glasses slipping down her nose unnoticed in her excitement. Confidence versus uncertainty, joy versus anger, focus versus distraction, each would create measurably different energy configurations. The temple teachings confirm this principle, Mira acknowledged. Creation energy responds more efficiently to harmonious consciousness than discordant states. Which explains why your unintentional creations manifest most strongly when you're emotionally engaged, Chronoa added, turning to Goku. Remember the pocket dimension that formed when you were playing with Pan. Your joy and connection facilitated creation beyond your technical capacity. Goku nodded thoughtfully, unusually serious. When I'm fighting, I always perform best when my mind is clear and focused, not clouded with anger or fear. Seems Lee. Creation energy works the same way but maybe even more so. This suggests optimal training incorporates psychological harmony alongside technical development, Arya concluded, scientific methodology. Constructing experimental framework around philosophical concepts. We should monitor emotional states during different creation applications to identify peak performance conditions. Are you jesting son needs therapy alongside training? Vegeta questioned with characteristic bluntness, though amusement tinged his tone. Not exactly therapy, Arya clarified, missing the humor entirely. Quote, more like emotional calibration specific to creation energy application. Identifying which psychological states optimize different creation techniques. I believe Earth terms this mindfulness practice, Mira supplied helpfully. Temple training incorporated similar methodologies, though described through different conceptual frameworks. Great, Goku responded with good-natured acceptance. So I'm learning new powers. Fighting interdimensional beings, and figuring out my feelings. No problem. His simple optimism, so characteristic yet still remarkable given the circumstances, drew varied reactions. Vegeta's resigned head shake, Chronoa's amused smile, Myra's analytical assessment, and Arya's scientific fascination. Your adaptability remains your greatest strength, Mira observed with formal approval. Where others would resist unfamiliar concepts, you incorporate them without prejudice. Lunch concluded with practical arrangements for relocating training to Capsule Corporation. Bulma contacted her staff to prepare appropriate facilities while Vegeta, in rare cooperative mode, offered to personally secure the training areas against potential intrusion. As preparations continued, Arya approached Goku somewhat hesitantly during a quiet moment. Despite her scientific confidence, personal interaction outside research contexts clearly presented greater challenge for her. I wanted to thank you. She began formally, adjusting glasses in nervous gesture. When Kairos extracted information from my mind, it was violating. But you immediately moved to protect me despite barely knowing who I am. Goku's response carried the simple clarity that defined his character. You were in trouble. Helping was the only option. But you risked yourself against a being that could manipulate reality, Arya persisted, seemingly needing to understand motivation beyond her analytical frameworks. My equations can't account for that kind of spontaneous protective response with a Chi-proportional relationship establishment. Goku smiled, understanding her confusion despite her technical language. Not everything follows equations, Arya. Sometimes you just know what's right without calculating it first. Intuitive ethical determination without conscious computational processing, she translated into her conceptual framework, though her expression suggested this didn't fully satisfy her curiosity. Your approach to reality operates on principles my scientific methodology struggles to quantify. Maybe that's why we'll work well together, Goku suggested with characteristic optimism. Your science understands things I feel, and my instincts feel things your science is trying to understand. This simple wisdom seemed to strike Arya deeply. For perhaps the first time, she viewed Goku not merely as fascinating research subject but as individual whose understanding, while different from her own, offered complementary wisdom rather than competitive perspective. Harmonious integration of intuitive and analytical approaches, she murmured, genuine smile replacing scientific detachment. Precisely what my dimensional equations attempt to reconcile mathematically. Their conversation was interrupted by Chronoa announcing transportation arrangements to Capsule Corporation had been finalized. As the group gathered their various belongings, Chi-Chi pulled Goku aside for private word. You'll be careful with these new powers? She asked, concern evident beneath practical exterior. I've supported your fighting and training all these years, but creation itself is different territory entirely. Goku's expression softened with rare seriousness. I promise, Chi-Chi. I know this isn't just another technique or power-up. Creating things carries more responsibility than destroying them. Good, she nodded, satisfied with his understanding. Just remember to come home sometimes. Creation energy or not, you're still a husband and father first. Always, he promised, briefly embracing her with genuine affection before rejoining the others. As they prepared for departure, Gohan approached with scholarly interest. I've been researching historical references to creation deities across cultures, he informed his father. The patterns are fascinating. Creation is consistently associated with responsibility and wisdom rather than mere power in virtually every mythology. Makes sense, Goku acknowledged. It's easier to break things than make them. Anyone can destroy, but creating something good takes real care. Precisely the wisdom Sozoryu recognized in you, Mira confirmed. Overhearing their exchange, not perfection, but appropriate reverence for creation's purpose. The group's departure from Mount Paozu proceeded without the disturbances that had characterized Goku's earlier movements. His control had improved remarkably within just one day of focused practice, creation energy no longer leaking unconsciously but responding more precisely to deliberate intention. As Bulma's aircraft rose above the mountain, Goku looked back at his modest home with newfound perspective. From destruction to creation, from fighting to building, his journey had evolved in ways he never anticipated when beginning martial arts training as a child. Yet somehow, the progression felt natural, each step preparing him for the next in ways only clear in retrospect. You know, He commented to no one in particular as mountains receded beneath them, all these years have been getting stronger to protect what matters. Maybe creation energy is just another way of doing that, building up instead of just fighting back. An insightful perspective, Chronoa acknowledged, temporal staff pulsing gently beside her. Perhaps protection extends beyond defending what exists to nurturing what could be. Expansion of conceptual framework from preservation to cultivation, Arya translated into her analytical language, though her tone carried genuine appreciation rather than mere scientific observation. As Capsule Corporation came into view, gleaming technological marvel against West City's skyline, Goku contemplated the path ahead. The architects would return, better prepared and more determined. His understanding of creation energy remained rudimentary despite rapid progress. Cosmic responsibilities extended far beyond anything he'd previously imagined. Yet characteristically, anxiety found no purchase in his straightforward nature. Each challenge had always represented opportunity rather than burden, chance to grow, to learn, to evolve beyond previous limitations. Creation energy merely expanded potential directions for that fundamental approach to life. This is going to be interesting, he decided with genuine enthusiasm. Learning to create instead of just destroy. The others exchanged glances, variously amused, concerned, or thoughtful at his characteristic optimism in face of cosmic responsibility. But none doubted his sincerity or his capacity to rise to extraordinary challenges. History had proven repeatedly that underestimating Son Goku's adaptability represented poor calculation indeed. As the aircraft descended toward Capsule Corporation's landing pad, reality itself seemed to hold its breath in anticipation. The dragon of creation had awakened, found worthy vessel, and begun new phase of cosmic evolution. What would emerge from this unprecedented union remained unwritten, potential unrealized but unlimited, awaiting only the right heart to guide its manifestation. That heart now gazed forward, with childlike enthusiasm despite godlike responsibility, ready to learn, to grow, and to create whatever tomorrow required. Chapter 3 End. The end. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.